What I've been doing in these spaces is uh, I pick several topic for the entire journey for somebody to change their job. So my original idea was that somebody already have a job, and probably this person is in this job for a year, 2 year, or 3 years, and typically, at least in my journey, I changed job every 1 year, 2 years, 1.5 year for three time before I settled in a long-term relationship with a employer. So my idea was to reflect, dissect that part with understanding the job market. When you're ready with 2 years experience, understand the job market, then add revise your skills, and then create your online presentation presence, and then use the networking techniques, all that, to finally get some interview call. So we cover many areas in last three spaces, and in this particular space, the assumption is you have done all that. Now you have couple of interview. So how do you prepare for those interview to convert them into a job offer? So those are a couple of things that we will be talking about today. And going back to your specific situation, you will be able to use some of these techniques, some of these ideas. Godwin, it may not exactly apply to your situation, especially when you're talking about internship. So um, that's not exact topic that we will be talking about today, but it is a related topic, and you will be able to use many of the technique that we will talk today. Sound fair?
Okay, thank you.
All right. So let's start. I just set the stage of all different things that I was thinking about. I made a post, and actually, let me quickly add that in the top of this space. So I will take another minute. Sorry, I should have done that by now. All right. And then copy the link, go back here, and paste it here as well. Okay. So I've done both of them. So the top. So again, in this case, assumption. Let's make an assumption that we have done all the things that we discussed before. That this person has an online presence. This person is making connection through the networking techniques, and then the skills, technical skills are refreshed, or he or she is working on, and then now ready for the interview, either have an interview lined up or expecting to have some interview. And some of the topic that I thought about is around the job application, because that's the time when you make that first connection with your employer, or the recruiter, or the hiring manager, where you're sending the resume, you're sending possibly cover letter, or whatever note, and then there will be a phone screening. And so what are the different things that we could think about in that job application? And then at a high level, what's the interview process look like? What are the things that go on in your hiring manager or recruiter's mind? And then preparing for the interview, obviously there are technical aspect, and then there are behavioral aspect, and many other things that comes into the picture. Again, we will have to make an assumption that you are strong with whatever technical language framework that you're projecting. If not, then you still have some kind of story to talk about. That's where we come to the storytelling method, where you have a list of all possible things that can be discussed. You are converting all your experience, skills, knowledge, the challenges that you have faced into some kind of story that you will be able to tell. I always say that 30-minute pitch as your FAQ document, so different type of thing, translating that into some kind of a pitch to share, and then finally salary negotiation, those kind of things. Cool. So I will take a pause. Any comments before we begin? All right. Cool. Um, so Udba, you and I will have to cover some of the pieces here. I'm assuming I do see Sadowski as a speaker as well, and Godwin. So I will share my experience, and then you and Godwin and Sadowski share what you have done in this particular area, and then we keep on, right? Exchange the ideas and all. All right, so when it comes to the job applications, depending upon where you are in your career, if you are 1 year or 2 year of experience, you will have things to share in your resume. So resume is one of the piece that goes in your application. Um, then some people do cover letter. I have not done cover letter, but I believe that's it is effective. And if you have your highlight, I think you can even use help from ChatGPT to make it more effective. But if you're thinking about the cover letter, you have to make it very specific to the company that you are applying, um, and such as the name of the company, why you want to join that company, what are the things that intrigued you in that company, either based on the information that you can get from the website or the recruiter if you're working with someone, and then possibly what intrigued you in the job that you're applying for. So those are the things that you have to slightly customize based on the company that you're applying. And most of the time when you apply, there is the entire concept of some kind of software scanning your job application, and that software or the pre-screening that we call is is kind of determining whether or not you will be picked for, um, whether or not the software or the recruiter, first level of recruiter, will send your application to your hiring manager or not. So there is a temptation to add more keywords, but at the same time those keywords can be problematic, um, because if you write too many things and you not deliver in the interview, you're already out, right? So be mindful to put anything on your job application that you can defend, not put it just because you're putting, because what happened, and this is real story with me. If I'm interviewing somebody and then they have listed 15 different things, and they could not show me that they even have a basic knowledge of three keywords or one keyword, then I feel like I don't know if all other 14 things are just like this, or it is just one off, right? So you impact your credibility a lot when you just put things without having any kind of a foundation of it. um Udba, do you have anything that you want to share to this?
Um, I mean, I basically, like, in terms of like interview strategy. I mean, you probably have to see the resume first, right? Because resume has to be completely structured, in a way that all your keywords and all your phrase and make sure you line up completely according to what you're doing. I mean, resume technically is not cater towards 100% what company needs. It's I mean, it is, but basically you have to also list um, what you have done, right? Because resume is more of a personal document. You can cater those resume according to what the company need is, but technically speaking, I mean, um, just add all the information that you can, and then go ahead and apply with it, right?
Yep, yep, exactly. One second. Cool. This is an open space, so you can request the mic. It will automatically given to you. And then I wanted to see if any of the audience member have any specific question that we can answer. If you're shy of talking, you can also type. Meanwhile, I will start with the next topic, which is like, what is the interview process typically? I'm guessing it can be different in different companies. I will share how I have hired for Advent Health. I'd like to follow a very simple process where um, a candidate would apply, and then I will do a screening. So once I do a screening, that give me an idea whether this candidate is a fit for the job that I'm hiring for. The obviously I have a different type of position in the company. Sometime I have a front end heavy or application and analyst type heavy position, and sometimes back end heavy. So even though you are amazing developer, but the position is back end heavy, I may not consider your resume just because you don't have the full grasp of the database, as an example, because this particular position is where you will be needing that, right? So I do screening based on what you have, what type of skills you have. Second, I look for what kind of project that you have done and what kind of environment that you have worked upon. Again, those two give me indication that are you able to handle some of the mission critical, well, we don't do mission critical, but in general, like some of the bigger application or not, and then whether or not you have a experience with the team environment. So that's the second thing that I look for. I look for your last two projects very carefully, and if I'm giving you a screening call, or if I'm inviting you for a interview, I would really talk about those two projects, because that's where I want to know that everything that you have done for that project, and then how you think, how you solve the problem, what kind of problem that you have encountered, and things like that. So last two project is what I go deeper, and the process, my process is typically go very organic. So I have my first and second level of question prepared, but not the third and fourth and fifth, because those will be completely based on the answer that you have given to me, and I will keep digging deeper and deeper and deeper. Um, so I do that first screen, like interview, resume review, and then I call everyone that I feel like has potential. Even though if I did not like many of the thing on the resume, I give a call, and I would do it like 5 to 10 minute quick call to understand what you have written on the resume is matching to what my understanding is. So I would do that call, and during that call, I also try to arrange the interview. And if it is coming from a recruiter, then I would let the recruiter do the interview arrangement. So that would be the screening call, and then after that, um, we will have a phone interview, and after the phone interview we will have a in-person interview most of the time. Now things change with COVID, so the second and final round is also on the phone. So that's what I have followed. My colleague, um, I have a front end engineering manager who I work with. He does a lot of he for the first interview and phone interview as well as the second interview, he bring his leads, and they would ask some question, including asking you to write some syntax. They would give a challenge, and then they would ask you to follow some of the challenges and all. So they do it slightly differently, where they go really deep into making sure that your syntax is very good, your thought process is very good, and things like that. Now I just work with two people. I was leading a cohort for Dallas Software Group, and in that they talk about like almost like 10 round of interview, and I was shocked that what are you talking about? First, why do they need so many interviews? And second, how come they have so much time, like the people who are interviewing? So anyhow, I wasn't aware of that kind of that many round of interview. We don't do that at Advental. So I want to ask again. I only see you on the phone as a speaker. So anyone who want to request the mic, please do, and you can ask the specific question in that case. So Udba, have you heard about these many rounds of interview, like 10, 15 rounds?
Not really. I mean, I only come across two, max three questions. First is always a screening one. Second is more of a face to face, and then the third one is more technical. You have to write, like, maybe they give you a small project, and you have to write down the the code and explain what you have done.
Okay.
But it varies, depends company, because if you go more of a higher company, like Fortune 500 company, they might require you to have at least like five, six round of interviews, depending, three rounds of just technical interviews. But yeah.
Well, yeah, right. So thinking about that. So regardless of whatever rounds are, oh, I also heard about this from one of my Nigerian friends. What he told me that he applied, and then the first two round was completely online, where first he has to go and solve answer. It was like a quiz, um, like a 20-40 question quiz that he has to answer within 30 minutes, and then if you clear that, then they would give you a project again online, which it seems like based on what when he and I was talking about it, it's like they give the Figma to many people read only, and then that's the requirement UI, and then they give a week, sometime it's like 3 days for the candidate to prepare that project and show it to them and send it back to them, and based on that then they go to the next step. So I've seen those two steps as well, Udba.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because when I applied first, I mean, technically I didn't get selected, but they gave me a Figma file, more of a PXD file. It was like Adobe PXD file, and you have to create a what do you call you have to completely code according to what you see. and that actually was helpful to learn and understand what company actually requiring you. But I'm sure there's probably plenty of other people that did the same thing better than me that got hired. But eventually, these things are required. Some, like I said, some people will give you a maybe Figma PSD file. Some will require you to code in front of them and explain them. Some will give you like a take home
Hmm.
project, meaning like they will give you a take home project where you're gonna go and then tell they're gonna give you maybe 3 4 days, and they'll be like, hey, you have to submit and make sure on your next interview you have to explain exactly what your thought process was when you were coding and whatnot.
Yeah. So let's circle back. We talk about job application, then we talk about interview process, and it can be multiple round or few rounds. Regardless, your what you're doing, what you're doing is you're thinking from like past spaces. Your priorities is to um, create the connection, presence, skill development, and then land on many jobs. Hey, Vishal, welcome back. Please feel free to request the mic. We are talking about all these topics related to interview, and you can contribute by sharing your experience, and then second by asking questions. I haven't seen other people did not request the mic, so it would be great if uh, so great. So interview process, I lost my train of thought. um, So anyway, yeah. So you apply, you do network, and then you get as many job of many interview call that you can, and then your next big goal is to convert those into the second round, third round, and ultimately a job offer. The best part, you only have to convert one, and once you convert one of the job, then it will carry you to build the foundation with real life examples of the work, and then it will set you for the next and next and next job. So that first job is so crucial, and in this context, if you already have a job, then second job, which is typically the pay is very high compared to your first job. So anyway, so the interview process, all the steps that we talk about, let's talk about how to prepare for the interview. There are many aspects. There are technical aspects, then there are whole entire behavioral aspect where they would just talk about different topic, and there is no right or wrong answers to those behavioral question. It just whether or not you good fit for that particular job. And think like this: if you are very fast paced and you like to turn things really fast, and you don't like to wait for a long time for somebody to respond, you're good fit for company number B, but may not be a good fit for a company number A. Uh, because the company number A may be more laid back, right? And this is just an example. Another one is if you like learning and you always want to be ahead of the technology, then a job where they have a lot of maintenance project, a lot of existing work that they want people to manage, you may not be a good fit in that kind of environment. So just understand that there are questions that just tell that how good you are fit for that particular team or that particular organization or that particular project, right? So there is no wrong or right answer for those. So technical and then behavioral, and then the third one is specific questions about your experience, That could be a project that you have done, that could be a challenge that you have encountered, that could be just your own journey, the how you um, how you look at the problem and solution, your own um, perspective. So that the third piece, and that's third piece is what I get fascinated about, because that's where you can use a lot of storytelling method, which is what we will talk extensively today. But let's start with technical preparation. We will talk about three things. Let's start with the technical preparation. So as we was just talking about, it could be a quiz, it could be a project that they will give you to do, either take home and do it, or right in front of them, where you have to think loud and show your work during that kind of setting. um, so in technical interview, those are the first two key phases, and then the third one is when you will have the actual interview. Then you will have either one person or the team lead or many people in that interview who will be asking questions and validating and cross questioning and trying to get you deeper and deeper. So um, the so for this, what kind of preparation that you need for the technical interviews, I would share, and then I will request Udba to share. So, what I understand, what I have done, again, it was a long time ago when I was going for these technical positions. So, what I would do, I would start reading some kind of theory book. Now, understand, it was a time when I already have 2 years of experience, so I know the practical, how to do something practically. But when you go to interview, they ask about theoretical questions as well, like what is the page load events that occur when your page load on a client browser. Same thing on the server side is pages. What are the different event happens? And then another similar question is what happened. Sorry. Um, Yeah, if you have to write a specific code or a specific call to a database or a specific variable initialization, where will you put that? In which event would you put that? Now, these are theoretical questions, and in practice, you always do that, right? You're naturally doing that, but you may not be doing it the best way or things like that. So what I always do whenever I'm getting ready for interview, I would start some kind of pick a book. That time book was more famous than today, but it could be a course, it could be a Udemy course, it could be a YouTube video, it could be something where they're talking about the theory, um, whatever field I am in. So if I'm talking about, if my field is React, then I would take a React course where I can go from the React basic, then React function, data type, all different things that we will have to go through to understand that React framework. Similar thing with the JavaScript, because whatever is heavy demand in my field, or the position that I'm going for, then I would really cover that aspect. Okay, so this is where I'm matching my practical 2 years of practical knowledge with theoretical knowledge, and most of the time, I have I would have a big realization that what I was doing versus what's the best recommended method is different. So I'm educating, I'm probably changing my code as well. And sometime I'm able to make that realization that, oh, what is written here, is that what it mean when you code the similar thing. So number one, I would use a very structured type course to go through the fundamentals. In I've seen some YouTube course. I've seen W3 website that has really good um, step by step lessons for many language and framework, including React. I recently came across a website called Kaggle, Kaggle, um, which has really good, again, it's very structured approach to teaching you something, and then after teaching, they also give you they also give you a playground to just play there. So that's another good side. And if you have some kind of course like Plurasite or something, those can also be very helpful. So that's a structure approach. Then come these online quizzes, and I believe LeetCode is one of the famous one where you can just go and answer whatever random questions are that help you practice, that um, help you find things that you would not easily think about. So you would do a lot of practice using code sites such as LeetCode. I'm pretty sure there are hundreds of other. And then the next one is, I'm sure there are pretty few more steps, but the next one that I will want to include is mock interview. So mock interview can be done by your friend, and in many cases, if they are from the same field, they probably have the same kind of knowledge, so they can ask you different questions that probably your hiring manager or the panel will ask you. You can also ask chat gpt to ask you those type of questions. And what you do with the chat gpt, I will give you some example here, a quick example here, that you tell that, hey chat gpt, you are a hiring manager. Hey Pratyush, thank you so much for joining.
Yeah, just Arindam entered the spaces and joined.
Oh, perfect. That's perfect. Thank you. I feel like there's so many spaces are going on right now, so many people have not joined. So I will bring you to the speed. What we are talking today is all about this interview. So last three session we spoke about job search, understanding the market, skill expansion, like adding more to your skills, and then networking. All about the networking and creating your online presence. And the idea is by doing all these things, you have secure a job. Sorry, not secure a job. You have secured a job interview, and now it's your time to go for that interview. So we talk about the job application steps, where somebody is applying, they sending the resume and all different things that they include in the job, in their resume. So we talk about that, we spoke about that. And then we talk about the interview process, from the time you apply, and then the hiring manager does a screen, then look at your resume, look at your job application, then do a screening call. Then there are other type of steps, such as what I've seen is one of the online application, sorry, online quiz then a project, and then a technical interview. In some cases, it's more than one round of technical interview, and then the group interview, and then come the actual job offer. I recently, just last week, somebody told me that they have gone through like 10, 12 round of interview. So that can also happen. And then we were just talking about how to prepare for interview, and I started with number one, reading a book or reading a structure program such as W3 School, or where you can see the end to end, all different steps. So you're matching your theory with your practice, everything that you have done, like last 2 years of experience, and then we spoke about Lee code, and then mock interview, and that's when you join. So you are now, I catch you up where we are in this discussion. So then mock interview, you can use chat gpt, and that's the example that I was giving. In chat gpt, you can literally write that, hey chat gpt, you are my interview coach, you're my career coach, you're my interview coach. Think like, give the name of the company, uh, think like a hiring manager or team lead at this company, and give your profile, like I'm good at Java, have 2 years of experience, and in this position, if you have the job description, you can actually copy and paste the job description from the position, and then you can ask ChatGPT to ask you for a mock interview where ChatGPT will ask you one question, you will answer, and then they will ask the second question, or they can also give you an entire mock interview at one round. But this is an effective method for you to be able to go through the mock interview process using ChatGPT, or your friend who is in the same field, or any friend or family member. You can give them type of the question to ask, and then they can do a mock interview for you. So that's another method. And then there are paid people who you can pay, who are in the same field, and then they can do your mock interview, technical round of mock interview. So with that, I will take a quick break. Pratyush, do you want to add anything from your experience around the job interview preparation? That will give me 30 second of break.
Just I'm actually having my dinner actually. So
Oh, no, no worries, no worries, no worries.
just 10 minutes.
No, I will keep
I'll
talking.
back soon. No, no, no. You, maybe Vishal and others, you can come up as a speaker.
Yeah, so this is an open space, guys. Anybody who want to come in, request the mic, and then you can ask me very specific questions about any of the topic that we have covered so far, especially in terms of preparing for a job interview. Um, it's on your side. Again, all you need is one job, but you won't able to get it unless, number one, you have job interview, and number two is you convert these job interview into a job. So it's a lengthy process, but highly rewarding, right? None of the other thing matters, but just by going through this process, if you can secure a job, that's humongous. Okay, 1 second, guys. Okay, okay, all right. Um, so we talk. Let me quickly take a note here. So we talk about technical round, and in technical round, we talk about multiple thing. Theory. Then we talk about leak code, and then uh, mock interview. And then in the mock interview, you have Chat GPT. Then we have a friend, right? And then we have family. Then we have paid people who can do the mock interview for you. So amazing, right? There are so many avenue that you could use to prepare, which is great. At the same time, it's also like you should feel responsibility, right? There are so much you can do. Are you doing that or not? It's on you now. So technical interview, then behavioral interview. um, I will tell you one of the questions that I always ask, and to mostly all the interview that I do, I will ask this question. You have a lot of work on your plate. You already have a 40-hour work for that week, and then your manager, me, coming to you and asking you to do two more things, which is like you're not going to be able to fit unless you work late or whatever. How will you handle this? And there's no right or wrong answer again, right? Some people have said that I will take care of it, I will work extra, and I will finish it. Then I will ask a follow-up question that how long would you be able to do that? Once in a while, great, but would you, if I keep doing that week after week, what would you do? And again, the answer would be different by different people. Where I'm trying to take them to with this particular question is how do they set their priority? If I'm telling them five different things and then adding more to their plate, they will not able to ensure the priority on the highest priority item. And I want them to say, and I want, oh, sorry, Pratish. And what I want them to do is to think how they can start communicating to to their managers that um, I already have these five things on my plate. You're adding these two. Which one is more important? Which one I should work first? And that conversation typically does a couple of things. Number one, you're setting the expectation that whatever work that I will tell will be done first. The second one, you're setting another expectation that, hey, you may not realize, but the work that you have given to me is more than 40 hours. And I will be working late. And we know that you cannot keep working late week after week. And I'm not talking about from 40 hours to 45 hours. That's normal for me. Again, that's just me. But I'm talking about like 60 plus hours. You cannot continue with that kind of effort. So at some point, you need that conversation. Um, so what would you do in those type of situation? So that's what I would try to find. Um, and then I would say that I would try to ask some of the question that indicate how good you will be as a team. And those questions are you a team player or are you independent? Would you like to work as independent person or would you like to work as a team member? Right? Simple question. Everybody has given different type of answer. I am looking for a person, and most of the well, depend upon which situation is, but your answer determine whether or not you can work independently. If you say teamwork, which is great, but it is not always great, right? If somebody is looking for somebody who can handle, um, whether or not you will be able to handle something independently, or you would need um, some other people with you to figure out things, right? So, these type of questions try to kind of uncover things that more behavioral, as well as has many meanings. Um, One question that I have asked is this: that how do your team member describe you? Meaning, do they talk high about you? Do they talk you are friendly, outgoing, or do they talk about you working all the time? It's your explanation, and then the follow-up questions tell more about your personality and your thinking process. Again, there's no right and wrong answer, and you cannot fake it, right? So you probably want to tell what actually means for you, and what type of environment you will be happy to work with. You don't want to, if you are a person like me, you don't want to join a highly aggressive environment where people are stepping over each other to be able to reach to the finish line, right? But for some people, it that kind of challenging environment is where they shine, right? So then again, you have to match uh, what type of people you want to work with. um, I talk a lot about um, this one: how do you handle challenging situation, or how do you handle your failure? um, those questions are again um, again helping me be able to understand a person. So how do you deal with failure? Could be that you have a deadline and you could not finish the work, and then how would you respond to me? Or it could be a project and it didn't go well. It could be a certification for which you gave an exam and you could not pass it. So it could be anything, but um, those are a type of question that they will ask. How do you handle pressure? How Tell me about a situation where you naturally, organically took lead and handle a situation or something. Um, So anyway, that's kind of the insight around what are the behavioral questions. Same thing, you can ask ChatGPT to give you some of the behavioral question. You can also ask. You can also check a lot. There is a lot of YouTube videos that talk about these and also talk about how to answer them. Now, as I've been highlighting and when trying to emphasize on, these has to be your answer. You don't want other person answer, but those watching the video or conversing with taking some help from chat gpt, as well as your friend, as well as paid people, you will be able to find what are the typical type of methods to deliver those, what are the typical type of things that can help you find your own style. I would highly recommend. Hey Tamal, welcome. Good to see you here. Again, this is open space as always, so feel free to request the mic. We're talking about interview strategy. Um, so, so in terms of the behavioral question, you can, yeah, what I was about to suggest is, I don't know if you have seen this website or not, but there is a website named 16 Personalities, completely free. And then there are paid solutions such as Myers and Briggs and Disk. But these are free, free application where you can go and answer bunch of questions. Based on those questions, they tell you what is your personality type is, and they also give you some of the details that help you understand how do you think, how do you work, how do you interact with other people, and how do you handle your pressure situation, how do you handle your problem solving situation, communication, and all that kind of thing. So my suggestion is do couple of things. Number one is to list all these questions, either by Google search or chat GPT. You will have a list of questions that are being asked in the interviews. And then the second one is ask friend, ask other senior developers what do they think about these questions. If you have a good relation with your manager, ask him as well or her as well, because managers have faced this situation. Manager ask these questions, so they will be able to guide you. And then watch YouTube videos, because then there are several that I have taken personally that help me understand it. So try to do that, YouTube videos, and then take some personalities tests that will help you understand how you naturally think. Ultimately, your answer has to be something that you believe in. Cool. So those are all about how to prepare for behavioral questions. So with that, I will go to Pratyush. Yes, Pratyush.
Yeah, pretty much good insights about the behavioral questions. The main problem is when a fresher applies for the interview, for the position interview. Yes, actually we're talking about the junior dev, I know. But suppose a fresher who is actually applying for the intern for the very first time, and he have has not faced any kind of sort of these things like how to handle such situations, and there are the typical HR questions, behavioral questions already as we discussed. But how do that kind of students answer those questions? Yeah.
That's that's really yes. So thank you. Your question helped me understand that perspective. So thank you for asking that. Right, bringing that perspective. So here's what I would say: that yes, this fresher may not have seen the situation with the software, but as a student, as a fresher, you have faced those situation, exact situation, in your let's say exams, right? You have worked in pressure situation, you have worked in failure situation. In engineering, I was failed couple of times and and I've handled it, right? So you have experience from that side. Your family situation, or your I don't know if you have girlfriend. Some of them, some of the people would have here. And if you have a girlfriend, then yes, you can handle your manager very easily, because handling a girlfriend and wife. Let me see. Oh my God. Sorry, uh, Gurpreet. I didn't mean to say that. There was no one here.
Oh God. Sadly, I don't have a girlfriend.
Oh my God, I feel so bad. But what I mean to say, well, all right, let's take a different example. What I mean to say that just friends, girlfriend, wife, mother. father. There are so many other things that we have, these interpersonal matters that we have experienced and we have resolved. So adaptability would be another thing where you have done all these things. So yes, for a fresher, you may not have a direct matching experience from a software development perspective or environment, but you do have a lot of transferable experience that you can bring to these tables.
Awesome. And have you discussed about the star method? I don't know
We did not.
if I. Okay, okay.
Do you want to do you want to talk about that or me?
Okay, you can talk about that. You you can explain
No,
better
no, no.
than me
You
actually.
start and then I will finish. How about that? Situation. Yeah.
Yeah, actually, you just I guess star situation is kind of giving any sort of situation based and behavioral question in a way. In the star means actually situation, task, action, or result. I guess like setting up the scene and describing this. And the task method, you can describe what the scene is going on and what actions you will take to overcome the strain and what's the result you get. That's in short, but yes, you can please elaborate.
Yeah, sure. Man, she was here just for me for to hear that comment, and then she was gone. Hey, Dave, welcome back. Okay. So again, this is an open space. Anybody can request the mic. I'm so happy that you joined. I'm running a sequence of a space, series of a space. This is the fourth one. We have done few for job search, then networking technique, building the online presence. So we did all that, and then this is the next one where we're talking about the interview and interview processes. We we started with we covered a lot of ground here so far. Um, One second. We covered a lot of ground where the job application, then what are the different rounds, different steps in the interview process. We just covered that, and then preparing for the interview. We talk about uh, technical round. Then we right now we're talking about behavioral round where we talk about many different ways, the type of questions that's been asked and what you can do to prepare for them, both for technical and behavioral. And then Pratyush just brought a star interview response method. So hey Nick, welcome. So Pratyush just explain what is the star response method, and then I will go deeper. So a star method is where many companies started doing a star method of interview questions and answers. They would even tell you upfront that the style would be this, and you want to prepare in that fashion. So what is a star method is where you, if you're answering something, you first give a situation, then you tell that what was the task, um, what what you did, what are the different actions that have been taken, and then what was the result of those actions. So if I give you an example of let me think real quick. Yeah. um, Um, I will give you this example. There was a project that I did for senior leadership at Advent Health, and the idea was that hospital president and CEOs will go to different locations, and then they will have a quick conversation with anybody that they will find on the floor. It could be a nurse or a doctor or a janitor, and they would just ask a couple of questions like, do you know what Advent Health mission is? or they may just ask that, do you like your work? And if you like your work, why do you like it? What do you think your work is? Third question, yeah, the third was like, hey, what do you do? Just an open-ended question, that what do you do? And then based on the answer and follow-up question, they would try to gauge that if this person understand his or her work beyond just the work. And I this is I had one story that kind of I was amazed that out was the outcome of such surveys, that one of the janitors said, by cleaning the floor, I ensure, my job is to ensure that the patient who walk on this floor is safe, and they they feel good about what we will be able to do for their loved one. Amazing. So this person didn't say that I clean floor. It was more on the mission side of it. So those type of story. But anyway, I was responsible to have my team create an application. So I thought about, all right, so this has to be something that iPad that they can carry, and then they can just do all the thing on this application. But it work on a laptop and then iPad and all that, right? But what happened? So there's a situation, and then the situation was when they were ready to do this. I realized that some of these CEOs and presidents are really good about their job, but not very good with the technology. So um, it's really hard for them to be able to talk to a person and type something on the computer or iPad. It's not going to happen. And it's not natural as well. So for that situation, I took an action that I immediately worked with some of the leadership, other leadership who was coordinating this event. That I created a form on the Word document, and I said, let's distribute this. And then we distributed those that they could have a later pad with that kind of form where they could just write after each of their discussion. And the result was good because now they can talk. They were able to talk. They were able to keep their eye contact. They were not worried about learning the technology. They were good at note taking, and I had somebody who was converting these notes into the application that I have created. So um, we won, right? So you converting a whole situation, your answer, into first talking about why you have to do all that, and then you're telling your contribution to that situation, your thought process, your thinking loud, and then what are the results that you receive after that? What was the tremendous transformation happen? So that's a star method that can tremendously help you converting all your especially experience and all the challenging situation that you have faced and encounters and overcome into a very impactful answer. Thank you, Pratyush, for asking that.
Yeah, I can see Tamal is also joined. Hi, Tamal.
Hey, Tamal, do you want to add anything to any of the topic that we have discussed so far? That will give me 30-second break.
Yeah, I mean, the strategies that you have been discussing and talking about are really amazing, especially for junior developers to get into something that's gonna last longer, to be honest.
Right.
And also, if you're talking about behavioral rounds, like it's like personally for me, I have felt a lot about the topic of being honest. Like, sometimes the HR or the whoever is asking you the question might even end up asking you questions which are kind of maybe personal, or maybe it's like just to test that what is your general reaction. Like, what I one time got asked is like, he directly asked me that, okay, if I hire you today and literally throw you out of the company the very next day, would you reach out to me? Would you talk to me? And would you reapply again and maybe wait for our just maybe wait so that we again hire you? So technically, in order to impress the HR, someone might say that yes, I might wait, I might reach out to you, I might wait a little bit. But come on, in reality, no one's gonna wait. Like, if the company has thrown you out, it means they have thrown you out without a personal reason. That's totally weird. So you're just gonna go and fetch something, fetch a new job, go and search for new job and stuff like that. So honesty is also kind of really important things in life, and especially in these kind of behavioral rounds. If someone asks you that, hey, if I give you 100 rupees INR, what are you gonna do with those 100 rupees? Like, I have heard people saying long stories with the 100 rupees. Like, I have heard people saying, I will donate those to NGOs. Someone said, I will buy food for some needy and greedy stuff. But what I think, sometimes you need to answer such questions in a clicky manner, such that the people sitting on the other hand knows that, okay, you have the ability to think outside the box. Like, in one such scenario, I answered that I will buy, like, if you folks are from India, like in my place, like in where I stay in Kolkata, West Bengal, so we have biryani in like 80 rupees, and we can buy a bottle of Coke in 20 rupees. So I literally answered the HR that I'm gonna buy an 80 rupees biryani, 20 rupees Coke, and enjoy my day. And yeah, that's kind of funny. And sometimes answering questions like this in a funny manner or in a much more straightforward manner would talk the person who is sitting on the other side of the screen. It would give them an impression that, hey, this person has some true attributes that that can last longer than the other people. Else, a normal answer would be, okay, I will take that 100 rupees and donate it to a temple or a charity. But it makes no sense. Like, if you just be honest, if you get 100 rupees lying around, you are not going to do that, right? So, you know that kind of things sometimes change. So yeah, that's all from my side for now. Like, I'm listening to this space. Really love these kind of spaces because it teaches you a lot. To be honest, like, even if you are not a junior developer, or even if you are not looking for an immediate job change, but on a long term, all the knowledges that you are getting from here, the amazing speakers out there who are sharing their knowledge, it's like amazing. Like, I'm I'm like super happy these kind of spaces are still there, because every other day we are so in kind of a job rush. So these kind of spaces really help.
Thank you, Tamal. You're full of wisdom, man. Great points. Seriously, great point. And what Tamal said, number one thing which really resonated with me is that answer what you think, what you really are. Hey, Mr. Ravi, good to see you, sir. Finally, seems like many spaces are getting over, so we we're
Actually, Augustine and Neeraj sir is hosting spaces. That's why most of the audience are there. I guess.
over.
I guess Augustine spaces ended.
Oh, okay, okay, okay,
Hello,
okay.
hello, hello, everyone.
That's why.
Hey,
Hi, Ravi sir.
Hello.
thank you for joining. So, today we are talking about interview. We have covered some of the land here. We started with the job applications. So some of the things like what to write and what not to write on your applications or cover letters and all. After that, we talk about at a very high level what are the interview process look like, what are the different stages look like. Then we are talking about preparing for interview, and we've divided that into three pieces. One is the technical questions, second is the behavioral questions, And then we went deeper into each of them with technical interview, the different thing that you could do to prepare. um, and then for behavioral, again we touch what those are and then how to prepare for them. And then Pratyush suggested talking about a star method of answering the questions, so I covered that with an example. And Thamal just finished dropping some of the wisdom born. And one of the things that really resonated with me is to true in your being, trying to be true with your answer and not to glorify everything. For example, the example that he said is, if it, let's say interview were asking, if I give you 100 rupees, what you gonna do with it, or $100, and some people may say that I will donate to a charity. And Tamal answer was really good that I would eat biryani. I will spend biryani, 80 rupees on biryani and 20 rupees on a Coke, and I would just call it a day. So those type of answers show you as more genuine person, an impromptu person, versus thinking that, oh, you're not, your answer may not be the real one. So that's where we are. And perfect timing. So here's what I would do. I asked them all to add comments on anything that we have discussed so far. I want to do the same with Raviji Aapke Sat mein. So if you want to add in your points of any of these topics, like application process or interview process, or preparing for interview, then let's add that, so that everybody who is here will get that perspective as well. And then we will move to the next one, where we'll talk about how to create your stories.
Yeah, sure. So yeah, first of all, sorry I was not able to join the space from start because I was hosting a few people in my home. So that's why now they left. So I thought probably let's join. Maybe you guys have already discussed few things. Yeah, but let's see. Okay, so yeah, I think so. In interview is basically Uh, so what they are checking, basically what they are expecting, they are expecting a human to join in their team, right? So along with the technical skills, they are also looking for someone who can work with them, right? Someone who can coordinate, someone who can communicate well, someone who can be a good team player. So it's very important that for the company to check on all the aspect whatever they can. And most of the companies will have behavioral round also, because they also try to look for the people uh, who is basically already understand the what kind of environment that particular company uh, that particular company has. So, for example, if we will go in Google, so they will have different kind of behavioral interview. If we will go in other company like Amazon, they have different kind of behavioral interview. So most of the time you have to prepare for that also, because that is also something very important. So usually nowadays, if you are going for any company interview, so you have to see that what they are actually asking for, along with that technical skills what they are expecting for, because then you will able to prepare it well. So so obviously along with the technical, this is something which is very important for them. Th- these are basically a scenario based question, which I think you guys have already discussed. So they will give you some scenario and that. So they wanted to not reply you the best answer, but you should be genuine, because they know that in what scenario people, how people behaves, right? So for for preparing these kind of interview, along with the technical skill, you should always prepare the situational based question. It's not just about behavioral, it's also the situation, how you have handled something in your team. If something happened, for example, you have written a PR, you have written some kind of code, and somebody had some while and somebody was also working on similar kind of issue, and then somehow somehow that code got some conflicts, and someone has replaced your code with his code, something like that. So how you have handled that particular scenario? Because when somebody removes your code as a developer, you always feel very bad. And so this is the kind of situation. Sometimes they will also check you how something you have handled within your team. If something happened, if you are contributing well and another person is not contributing well, so how you are handling that particular scenario? Do you complain about him to your manager, or do you write some kind of feedback for him? And how you help him to improve within a team? So this is also a kind of question they will ask. So obviously, be ready with the answer with your original experience. Most of you, when you are working in a company, you will always have scenarios like this. You will always have problem with the testing organization. You will always have problem with your within your team also. So whenever you are preparing, and we do not even care, we handle everything in real life, but we do not prepare it, or do not keep it in mind, like how I have handled it. So best way to, whenever you are going for interviews, whenever you thought, okay, now I need to change my job, so along with the technical skill, think about the scenarios, what happened within your organization. Go with the try to search over the internet, and find the how that particular how that particular company is basically taking behavioral round, what they are expecting, what kind of questions they are asking. Then create your use case. Think about your past experiences which you had in your project, which you had in your company, and try to create answer, and then you go for the interviews. Sometimes it will also it may be the case where when you didn't have that particular kind of scenario in your company, and or you do not remember, then also try to create few things based on your experience which you had. So because answering nothing, saying I didn't handle this kind of scenario, is also wrong, right? So you always have some perspective. Maybe you have not handled it, but as a human, as a team player, you should be ready for handling that particular scenario also. So you always give your perspective, be original, try to tweak your answer a bit, not completely, not give the fancy answer always just searching over the internet and just give it. Just try to be original, and then I think it will be okay. Technical thing is something which you always have to focus on, that I will not cover, because this is the basic which you should do. Along with that, this is a kind of something this is something which you also have to take care. Yeah, I think that's it.
Great depth. Great depth. You covered a lot of pieces. So, anyone who is listening, this is the recorded space. So, mark the point. Um, you will be able to go back and listen to the recording. But these are great points, in depth points that can help you in your next job interview and preparation of the job interview. So, with that, welcome everyone. Anyone who has recently joined, you're most welcome. This is an open space where you can request the mic and then ask any question that you have related to the topic, or if not, then unrelated to the topic as well, so that it will give us an opportunity to go deeper into the topic and address a specific question that you may have. So, I encourage you to to request the mic again. If you have never spoken in this space, this would be the best space because we are all um, very nice people. I couldn't know. I couldn't determine which what's the right word is there. Cool. All right. So let's keep going. One of the things that I have done is whenever I'm preparing for these interviews, so whatever we have discussed, um, by this time we have the raw material, right? We have talked, we have talk about different techniques, different areas, different segments, and all that we could use to practice, prepare. Now, hey, Udba, come back. Welcome back. So by this time, we have all those elements already. Now, um, there is something that I have done recently, and in past as well. So I would first tell what I have done in past. In my background, I have when I started my career, I changed my job couple of time. Um, changed my job couple of time. Like every my first job was like job change was exactly 14 months after I completed um, 14 months after I joined my first job. So basically, exactly after a year, I went for job interviews, and my joining was after uh, at the 14 months mark. And then I stayed 2 years, about 2 years in that company, and then I switched, and then I did one more time. So at that time, my preparation method was this. I would give myself some time and then look at the job market and then start applying. And I would use my first three interviews as just to check the water, like what kind of questions that they're asking, what are the different thing that they talk about. And with each interview, I would make a list of things. I was using the notepad, so I would try to remember all different questions that they have asked, and then I would write them, and then I would prepare them for the next interview. By the time I finished three interviews, my voice is fluent, my answers are more fluent, and it just I can even see the transformation. So those time I have used that technique, basically deliver the answer, and then next time the answer is even better. Now, last year, I was preparing a LinkedIn guide, and to prepare a LinkedIn guide, I made some changes to my LinkedIn profile, and I even created a new profile as well, just so that I can take all the screenshot. To my surprise, I started getting calls. I started recruiter reaching out, and then I also reach out and apply to some of Amazon job position. So for that, I used a completely different methods. And one of my friend who was working with me and now at Amazon, he helped me and mentored me for that preparation. And the preparation was this: Amazon go by 12 or 16 principles. So your answer has to be around those. Again, they use a star mechanism to answer the question, and then they want the person they are interviewing, to refer to those principles, not verbally, but kind of align with that. And my recruiter told me, my Amazon recruiter told me about that, and then my friend told me about that. So I had those 12 principle or 16 principle, and my next job was to list down all different things that I have done, and then brainstorming and thinking how and which one aligned to which principle. And then I did all that exercise, and then in my interview I used that, and I was able to clear many rounds. And I believe my right before the final round, they had the hiring freeze. So then the thing stopped at that point. But that experience helped me understand and come up with this new approach which I call FAQ document. So when you're preparing for your interview, when you're preparing for any interview, I suggest that you brain dump of all different things that you have done. Start with your type of project that you have done. So list the project and then give them an order from the complexity or your contribution to those projects or the impact those projects have made to your customer. So make that. So start with that. Then same thing with all the languages, all the framework that you have learned, all the courses that you have done. Same principle that give them some kind of sequencing, and then um, the challenging situation that you have faced either during coding or during life in general. My challenging situation, for example, is I couldn't find a job for like 10 months. Well, I couldn't find a job after engineering, so I did my um, a marketing job for 10 months, and then then a computer course, and then job, right? That was my one of my challenging situation that turned into one of the most fulfilling thing that I have done in my life, most rewarding thing that I have done in my life. And then on my project, I have faced several situations. One of the things that I was talking about is that that application that I developed for senior leadership. For Advental. It was one of the highest visibility project that I have done. And then end of the day, right before the go live, right before when they supposed to use it, it did not work. Not because of the technology, but because of the type of user, and I handled that situation. So that was one of the top thing in my Amazon interview. A failed application that the my interviewer kind of spent almost like 20 minutes on that, but um, I brought that and I had so much to talk about. So think about all different challenging situation, the challenging situation which you may have faced with a production downtime, or challenging situation such as the language that you knew does not work for this particular situation, that you have to learn an entire new language. That was actually a story from the Dallas software group that I just um, helped as a team lead. We was team of four. The person who was doing the front end, last 1.5 week, she was disappeared because of whatever happened at her work. We at that point we have spent 4.5 week already, and we have 1.5 week left. We had this big demo coming, and we was doing all these LinkedIn and Twitter campaign that this is a team of four. So there was a solid build up there, and then our front end guy, girl, is not available. So what happened? The result was two people. One was the back end cloud specialist, never worked on the front end, never did not know anything about React. The second person was okay, was like a QA person, and was done some of the Django platform, but hasn't worked that detailed on the front end. But they solved it by this girl working for like 16 hours straight, 16 or 18 hours straight, learning the React and making the UI, and asking her Google friend to help her make it look better. And this other person, again, same thing, learning and connecting React to Django backend. My point is, these situations transform you. These situations give you so much confidence in your process to prepare for interview. Write down, try to remember all these situations, try to remember the emotion, like how did you feel when that happened, and what make you take the lead of learning, of making that commitment to yourself. I did not ask, right? I was okay to go with mock-ups and share the story. Like, this is how this will work, even though we're not able to finish. So I had other option too, but these two people step up, and but something drove them, right? Something from their inside drove them. If they can remember that emotion and then transfer that emotion to in the interview, that makes a deal, right? I want to hire somebody like that. I want to hire somebody like that who would not take answer, or who would not use this an excuse that, oh, XYZ happened, or XYZ person did not do this work, so I couldn't, so it's not on me. Instead of, I would rather have this person who would fill the gap, do whatever it takes, right? So, a solid example of what I mean by going back of all your story and thinking about them, listing them somehow, and then trying to translate, trying to capture the emotion. Like, how did you feel? Just like we was talking about the situation, right? What was the situation? What was the task that you was given? And then what action you take, and why did you take that action? Like, what drove you to do that? Um, so creating that raw material of listing all those type of situations is the first step. Then translating that into some kind of Google Doc, Word Doc, or handwritten document where you are trying to anticipate different type of questions and then answering these situation. Just like you can use a star method, you can use a regular storytelling method where you have a situation, actor, um, a roadblock, or problem, and then the solution, and then hero, and all that, right? You can use any type of storytelling mechanism to create a list of frequently asked questions and then answers, and then use that for your next interview. um, I feel like this is one of the biggest thing, one of the most impactful thing that you could do for your interview. And I will add one more thing here. In my, I talk a lot about this. My first tech job. I I was at this interview where um, we was talking about my project. So I didn't have any software background. I had engineering background, and my job up to that point was a marketing job, nothing to do with software. And in this interview, I'm sitting there. This person was talking about the last project that I have done. It was an academic project, and we just keep talking. He was asking all different type of questions, like why you created this application, what this application do, what's the significance of this application, why did you select ASP.NET? Oh, sorry, ASP and SQL. Why not Java? Um, how did you do your coding? How do you go through idea to execution? So he was thorough in this his question, and he knew that this is an academic project. But the good part with my answer, that we was a team of three, and we was so passionate about this project. We became so passionate about this idea that we was spending anywhere between 12 to 16 hours at this institute. So for last 2.5 months, anything and everything that we was doing is thinking about this application and coding this application. So in this interview, it was so reflective, and I it was in a different state. So I had a return bus, and this person, my interview person, was saying, "Okay, so you have this bus. Um, I can drop you at the bus station. That will save you some time. So can we continue another 30 minutes or something?" And I said, "Sure." And we kept talking, and I think this was the only interview or only situation where I had a job offer by the time I finished the interview. Like this person was wanted to talk about when can I join, and would it be okay for you to move from your hometown to this town and all that. I felt like everything that I have done for that project, or because I was so much into that project, um, I was able to bring way beyond the technology aspect in this interview, and that helped me. And that always gave me so much strength that the work that I do, or the way I reflect those into a job interview or a conversation or anything, makes can make a big difference. So that is all about storytelling. I will come back to add one more point, but I want to open the floor to Raviji, Tamal, Udba, and Pratyush, all the speakers, to see if you want to add something. We'll start with Raviji.
And Binod, just allow me 2 3 minutes. I'm in something. Okay.
Oh, sure, sure, sure. All right,
Okay.
then,
Just give me 2 3 minutes.
sure. All right, so I will go from the screen. So Pratyush, Udba.
I guess Adam is also joined.
Okay, sure. Tamal.
Yep, I've been listening, but I don't think like you explained it in such an amazing way as of my topics right now. So I don't think I really got to add something to this, whatever you said. I'm rather waiting for other speakers to speak. Let's see what they add.
Okay, sure, sure. So I will ask Nick, Nicholas, and Agam if you guys have anything to add.
Okay, so hi Vinod, hi everybody else. So I joined this space because I follow Pratyush and I follow Ravi Raj, and I just dropped in. I saw the title. It seemed interesting. So I have a question for Vinod. That so anybody who's been working on cloud computing, uh, and it's been just 6 to 8 months, but as a fresher he can't land a job for more than 4 LPA in India. Uh, what would be the strategies he can use to excel to be a cloud developer slash administrator and score a decent pay package? If you can maybe highlight some points about that. I mean, not particularly, I know it's about junior devs, but still anybody who is more into the cloud side of things, and if you can highlight some points, that would be great.
Sure, Agam. So I understand. I will repeat the question. You're saying that a cloud engineer not able to get a good job more than 4 lakhs an annum per annum.
Yeah, that's correct. And I mean, like, I'm just talking about a fresher scenario. Anybody who's from tier 3, tier 4 college, but he has the knowledge, he has the, uh, if you ask him all the basic stuff and all, even on the practical side of things, he knows everything, but he still can't crack that job and still can't, land that good base package. So, what
Okay.
strategies maybe he can use?
Okay, so I would uh, ask one more follow-up question. So, is this person already have a job? Is this person doing a job as a cloud engineer right now?
Yes.
Okay, then perfect. Okay, so here's what I would say. Again, I would use my example that, um, well, I will say this: the money and salary is the second factor, or how do I say that? It's an outcome of your growth. Why I say that? You have a job. Let's let's do a couple of things. One is you keep that job. Again, I would say that I'm answering this based on what I would do, what I have done in my career. I would keep this job. I will continue to do this job while I start looking a second job, like next job. And to do that, I would try to do all the certification that I can related to cloud. And it is not that I believe in certification, but I believe that those certification give you some extra credibility, especially if you're a fresher and you cannot show some of the exciting and most challenging project. You can use the certification to show that. So I would do the certification. I would evaluate the project that I'm doing for my 9 to 5 job, my current job, and see if those projects are good enough or not. If not, then I would look for a side project, a portfolio project that I could do on my side, even though if I have to spend my nights working on that project. Most of the cloud environment give you option to either create some kind of student learner account, or some kind of initial level where you don't have to pay much. But I would build some kind of application to demonstrate that I know how things are, and those could be the type of application could be that I know in today's situation where there are migration projects from on-prem to cloud. So those type of situation, or um, there are some the migration project from on-prem to cloud. I'm trying to remember. Um, I and well, I I guess I don't know all the different type of project that you could do with the cloud, but I know the migration projects are there. And then second is building an application using cloud is another type of project. And yes, I remember now. Third one is building your CDC pipeline in the cloud. And then final is giving an estimation, a cost estimation with your architecture design, meaning a small business or any type of business, if they want to even think about going to cloud, they have to go through a lot of questions and answers, and many people does not understand. We are trying to do that right now with advent health apps, moving them to Azure cloud, but um, just the number of decisions that we have to take is humongous. From the point how much bandwidth it will be, what kind of tier that we need, what whether we want to use our server as the virtual servers in the cloud, or whether we want to turn them into a service right? There are many things. So I just talk about four different type of things that you could do as a cloud consultant. Migration, building a new application, um, CDC pipeline, so entire DevOps for cloud environment. And then number four is as a consultant, estimation of what you need and how much it will cost. Um, so those are just the four that I think I came up with. But if your friend search in the job market this person, then he will know what kind of job openings are there, and then based on the four idea that I shared plus anything that you think that is available in the job market, this person will be able to create some portfolio application using cloud. So that would be so certification, building some really good portfolio project, and then building the network with three type of people that last time we spoke about. One is the recruiter, second is the hiring manager, third is the other cloud developer, cloud engineers in other companies, and finally preparing for the job interview using the technique that we discussed in this session that will help your friend to number one create some credibility, second using the connections and the job search or job portal, they hopefully he will find some job interviews. And then third one using the technique that we talking about is like how he faced this challenge where he has all the skills but not many offers, and then everything that he did to go above and beyond what was available to him to do things on his own, and then coming to this job application job interview. So those are my answers, Graham, Agam, that this is what your friend can do, and my answer is based on this foundation that don't leave the job, stay in the job, go above and beyond, and then prepare for this next job interview, certification, and all that. And then the third one, I will go back to the point. I have always treated money as the outcome of my growth, and I have gone after good positions, great projects, or the environment where I am growing as a person, I'm growing professionally, and then salary and earnings are as a side effect of it. So
No, that's, I mean, really great. Thanks a lot, Vinod, for this insight. I really hope that these things do help the concern. I mean, and also I do have fellow uh, trainee members and some of the college juniors who are looking to explore more in that niche space apart from the dev skills they have. So this is really insightful. I'll do share maybe, and if you give me the permission, I can tweet about this.
100%, 100%. This is a recorded space. So we started about 1 o'clock. So around 2 hour mark, you will be able to see the discussion that we are having right now. So yes, please feel free to in entirety. It's up to you if you want to give credit or not give credit. It's an open knowledge, right? I did not say anything that is kind of copyrighted. This is the knowledge that my friends have given me and I'm giving to you. So please use any way you want.
Big up, big up. Thanks a lot.
Awesome, awesome. All right. So is anyone else want to talk, comment on anything that we have discussed so far, including any question? All right. Awesome. I will share a story. I've been talking for almost 2 hours, and it's amazing just to be able to hear myself doing this. So I want to tell a story. Um, I'm a highly introvert person. When I was in college, engineering college, my friend named me a spatial commentator. What that means is I would listen to my friend talking for like 15 minutes, 20 minutes, and then I would add one comment. Um, and then another 15, 20 minutes would go pass by because I'm okay with listening. I wasn't okay with talking. And then I had this job of marketing job for like 10 months. And all I had to do is to talk as much as I can. I think it has a huge impact on me, changing my personality, I guess. And then, or just showing me that it's okay. I can talk. And then another, and then I guess overall, as we proceed with different thing, understanding these personality tests as well, and some of the leadership technique training that I have done. All is hey Sam, good to see you. Thank you for joining. Sam has been in all spaces, so I really wanted to give a warm welcome. So anyway, this going back to the story that I am a highly introvert person, and college was different, and then this job, this marketing job, and overall, once I gone through some of the personality test explanation on those personality tests, and then finally some of the leadership classes, what I figured that the introvert or extrovert is not a limitation for you. It's just how you consume your energy, or what is naturally come to you versus for which you have to put some effort. So for me to be able to talk this much, I use this agenda. I use this some pre-research, and then I go to these spaces, or even for my big meetings that I do at my office. Um, right now, with this big release that is coming in October, I am um, I'm having these high visibility, high profile meeting where many of the leaders from Chicago joins because this go live will affect them a lot. And then I have some of the big leaders from corporate who are coming because the way this application will change and release in the market is affect Advent Health reputation, and I'm the one who is managing that message for the Advent Health and release and all. So I rely a lot on agenda and PowerPoint, and I use that to drive the conversation. So anyway, point is, hey Tim, welcome. Point is, it drains my energy to keep talking for like 2 hours. So I'm drinking a lot of water. All right, with that, Um, I want to talk about something that I really like, and it saved my job once. So, when you are preparing for your story, when you're preparing for your job interview, you have the raw material, you have the STAR framework, you have whatever other storytelling method that you have. And then I want to talk about this 30-second pitch idea that I have. What is 30-second pitch? So anything that you can, if somebody asks you about, hey Udba, what do you do? And you will always hear Udba communicating what he does in like 30 second or less than 30 second. And many time it make you ask the follow-up question. Oh, you talk about 7 to 11. you focus on you do. So what you're doing, what you're learning, and then he will deliver another either 30-second pitch or detail. So I call it like 30-second pitch, and then that 30-second pitch should make the other person saying, tell me more about this. And then you just secure like 3 minutes. And then once you deliver that and you still have the person engaged, you have like next 30 minutes to convert, to have a back and forth discussion. Yes, sir.
Yeah, a lot of people don't even manage to get to the 30 second because they're so like nervous, and their confidence level goes so much down that in order to get to the 30 seconds, it's not even like in a picture. But I 100% agree with you in terms of like, um, the first thing in an interview is make yourself comfortable, right? And then being in being like able to know ahead of time that you have to go in an interview room with maybe like 3 or 4 people is just already nerve wracking, right? But it's, what Vinod is saying is 100% correct, because you have to first mentally prepare yourself in order for you to be comfortable in that room. I've been to so many interviews, and I kid you not, I'm not really good at interviews, right? I mean, as long as I feel comfortable enough where I can like handle this situation and answer a question without stuttering and then thinking too much, then I'm like 30 seconds, forget about 30 seconds. I'll keep them engaged for an hour, literally for an hour. But for to be in order to get to that 30 second, that period of time, it's nerve wracking. So these things that Vinod is saying is it's like 100% correct, but that is applicable right after you feel comfortable, right? But do understand that the people sitting in front of you, those are human too, which means that it's 100% valid in order, 100% valid in terms of like create a normal short conversation, right? Rather than being stick to the script that you already been building for a past a week ever since you heard about that interview. Like, oh, I'm gonna ask this question. No, don't do that, because then by the time you get to that room, trust me, you'll forget everything, and then you're gonna be blank out. I did that. I'm telling you based on my experience. I did that. I prepared a damn script. Literally, if they ask me this question, I'm gonna answer this. If they ask me this question, I'm gonna answer this. But guess what? When I went to that room, I was completely blank out, and I'm like literally sitting there, try to come up with some sort of answer, right? To not make myself look fool in front of them. But understand that um, answering question is you have to be human. So first of all, like just go in and have a little chit chat. Make yourself comfortable, and then when you gain that confidence in you, then you're golden. Trust me. Then you can answer any damn question they will ask you. But being in a state of mind, that's really, really, really important.
See, all I had to do is to say some nice word to Udba, and then see he started dropping wisdom bombs.
Honestly speaking, I joined earlier, but I had to drop out because I had someone, like, it was some sort of an emergency and I had to leave. So I apologize, Vinod.
No
I
worries.
just dropped out of nowhere. I dropped out of nowhere. I'm like, oh man, this guy is by himself.
But
Exactly. The moment I joined, Ud was like actually like I'm like what?
but you made a really good point. We talk about all these things, but you brought the most important point is when you go there, feel comfortable, take a lot of deep breathe, and try to make yourself comfortable. And I would add that always try to be early if it is in-person interview, or even if it is virtual, try to be in front of computer. Even if you're not joining, just have your machine and everything set like 5-10 minutes earlier. And I think many people would be okay if you join like 3 to 5 minutes early to a interview. um, just give you some chance to breathe and calm down before the interview start. Yes, sir.
Okay, so I have one question, right? And it's kind of regarding interview, but not really like interview. So let's say it's a before the interview, right? Prior to interview, I'm gonna say. So, and then this question, either Ravi and you, but you guys can both answer this question, right? So a lot of people, a lot of developers are either coming out from college, or they're either self-taught, right? Maybe they're in boot camp or self-taught and whatnot. In order to, let's say, the resume, as terms of resume structure, right? What do you guys normally like to see in terms of, like, do you like to see like a technical first, or do you like to see what projects you already built? Because a lot of people have a different approach in terms of, like, okay, I work on these projects, I'm gonna put that, and then I'm gonna put like my skills, and then let's say my employment, right? But some people either put their like skills and then their project. Some people don't even put anything on top, they just put their experience, and then everything related to their development they put all the way in the bottom. So just I'm kind of like working on this structure, and I wanted to understand from different viewpoint points, that how do you go about and then like to see from like management perspective or the HR perspective, like how do you manage to see all this, like what do you like to see in terms of that?
Sure, sure. So let me answer. Okay, so I usually obviously verify too many resumes, be it for junior or senior. So, what I look for basically, and what we are expecting as a company. So, I have worked on 2 3 companies, and there basically there I have took interviews. So, what we look for. So, first of all, your resume should not be that much long. This is something first thing which you have to target. What it means basically, earlier, I think before a few years, people used to create a long, detailed resume. That is not something now people are expecting. They are expecting a short resume. What it means? It means that if you are a fresher, if you are a newbie, then you should not create your resume more than 1 page. And if you have some experience, you want to list down few things related to some, provide some references, provide some more detail about the project, then you can go with the 2 page resume. That is something which we are expecting. Along with that, if some companies are asking you for the detailed resume, then you can create one detailed one also, but do not share your detailed resume at first step. Now come to the point, what we should write in the resume. See, so resume is something, this is that is going to give the first view of your profile, right? What it means is basically, we wanted to, obviously by looking into the resume, we cannot say that this person is good or bad, but we wanted to know that uh, the position which I'm going to hire, that person is kind of going to fit or not. I don't even know that you will answer interview questions or not, you will be good in the behavioral round or not, you will be good in the system design round or not. We don't know about that. The first thing is that obviously you should write your name and your contact details, whatever, phone number and email ID. Second thing is the summary. Summary is something which where we wanted to know that what major things you are working on, or what major things you know that. Okay, along with that, write your write your skill set. What are the skill set you have? Do not write big skill set in resume, because otherwise your page resume will be very short for you. Then you detail out the project. Again, when you are detailing out the project, we wanted to see that obviously you have done some kind of coding, you have implemented something, but what value it creates. If you will say, for example, I'm just taking a basic example. For example, somebody has developed a login and user registration page, for example, and I write in my resume saying that, okay, I have created login and user design page in some technology. So this is something obviously you have done, but I don't know who is using those login and resume, what kind of traffic it is handling. So if we will attach the number as well, saying that I have created a login and resume for one of the application that right now is handling 100 requests per day, something like that. Give some numbers. For example, it is handling traffic of 10,000 of requests per day. This is the kind of value which you have created by creating writing the login and registration page. So similar kind of detail is something which as a interviewer, which as a company, which as a HR we look for, because if you will write in detail, okay, some technology I have used, I have created, I have used this database, I have used this, not, if you will write all those detail in your resume, you will not able to manage it. Okay, so first, whenever you are writing your project detail, whenever you are explaining what you have done as a part of that particular project, always be quantitative. Write about the numbers, write about the value, because just think about it. If we will hire you, if some company will hire you, what they are going to do with you? They are going to ask you to work on a project, and that is going to serve some customer, that is going to serve some value for the users, that is going to serve something for open source people, where people can use that particular project. So basically you are going to deliver the value. Exact thing is the value. Programming, coding, anything is something which is a kind of just a tool for doing that. So always think like that. Whenever HR looks into the resume, most of the companies nowadays, they look for the numbers, they look for the, for example, in my case, as a solution architect, what should I do? I design system. So should I design a system which can handle a million of requests? Should I design a system which can, for example, if I'm designing an audio system, is it possible for that particular audio system to store millions of data? Is it possible? How many customers that basically use that particular audio systems for a time? So basically, detail about the numbers, detail about the, obviously, figures, like what kind of performance. For example, you have fixed something and that improves some performance of the application, write about that. And do not explain it too much, saying that, I have written some code, it improved. Write it in one liner, and one and a half line or two line, maximum two line. Do not write more, because if you have created value, we know that, okay, you have created it. Now this is something which I have to ask in the interview, because by looking into your resume, obviously now I know that you have done something that has created some value, and now I have to ask it at the interview. So obviously this is the way you should structure your project. And after that, you write your, if you have done some volunteer work, if you have done some open source project, write those things as well in your resume. Just see that what all things you can include in the resume, but do not go beyond 2 pages. And think about that. The resume which is going to look, your resume is first is going to look by a person that is not technical. Okay, they are based on, they have done some HR management. They know the how, they get some JD, job description around the position, and then they filter the resume. And so that's the main reason. So you have to think about that. How, if I will write a resume in a way, in a detailed way, although that person is not going to understand, right? Because they are not technical that much. So you should always focus on writing resume, adding the value, whatever you have done, write the value. If you don't know the numbers, put something for which we can answer. So do not go it blank saying that I have created some user or login page. This is the basic example I have took, but yeah, there are more examples as well.
Vinod and Tanmay, if you do not mind, I would like to ask one more question, kind of like related to it, if you allow
Yeah,
me.
yeah, go forward. Keep back and forth. This
Okay.
is a good discussion.
So okay, so what you have just said, Ravi, my resume kind of like structured the same way, right? But then the following question that I have is, I'm in the IT industry for pretty much more than 4 years now, right? Almost like, yeah, almost like over 4 years now. So how would you suggest, is me coming from being in IT and being a technical role already and coming to development side, how can I structure my resume to showcase a transferable skills? Because I do have a lot of skills in terms of networking, in terms of VMware and whatnot. Um, but and then also, I have like two questions as following. So this was one question. The second one is, I do list only one project because my resume is already kind of like 2 pages now, meaning like a page and a half now, right? And I don't know, coming from, you know, like following what you have said, I don't want to put too much of my past skills in terms of employment, right? Because that's not going to be relevant. I just put the what's the current job that I'm doing right now. So how would you go about do structure the resume in terms of transferable skills, and how many projects do you think we should include in our resume in terms of development, projects?
Yeah. So obviously, see, you can add multiple project till the resume your two-page resume allows you. Okay, so basically you have to manage your content. That is something obviously you have to do, because and but in interview you will always have to explain one project. So you can master in your one of the project. For that you are going to answer. So if somebody will say, okay, explain something about your project, what kind of project you have done, you always explain the one for which you have prepared, because for that you have created questions and all the questions, and you know the pros and cons, everything about that particular project. So prepare around that. But yeah, your question was to how to add. Obviously you should not just add one project, because that obviously interviewer will not ask question from your each one of the project, but they wanted to look for more than one project. So multiple project is something which you should add. Maybe you have to see how much your resume length is basically, and how much you can add. But if you have really done multiple project, try to add that. Do not go for 6 7 project. Nobody cares about 6 7 project, but at least 2 3 projects should be there, because then we know that, okay, different kind of flavors, on different kind of flavor that person worked. So if I will not give the exact project to him for work for, he can also work for a different kind of project. So it's basically a view which is being created by your resume. So add more than one project if you have done it. If you have not done it, that's okay. And second thing was, I think what you have said
Trans-
is
Transferable
trans-
skills from IT.
okay. So I was not able to hear that because I was doing something. So what kind of transferable skills you have, for example?
So basically, I'm in IT. I'm a system engineer currently, right? So I do have a lot of skills in terms of scripting, like a PowerShelling, and I have like a VMware. Like I work with Cisco products. I do have like and the Windows servers, kind of the experience and whatnot. So I do have a lot of skills in terms of IT itself, but I want to see how can I use that as a transferable skills into a web development or software development in general, pretty much.
Okay, so see that. First of all, do you really want to explain this in your development job interview? Because I'm not sure. Do they even do they even care about it? Maybe some interviewer will care, but some interviewer will not. So what I will suggest, you should obviously add this one also in your resume. If somebody, and you while answering in the interview, somebody says, okay, explain about me, tell me about yourself, or explain about yourself. So you should, at last, when you are done with your experience, you said add this one also. If somebody is interested, if someone is saying, okay, I wanted to listen, hear more about it also, so that person can, that they will definitely ask you, then you can answer. But just add it in your tell me about yourself question as well, if you want to talk about it, or if you just want, because this could be something which can add value also, right? If somebody is interested, they will like it, right, along with the development experience which you have. So I think I would suggest to add you in the resume, and then you can add in your details when you are explaining your detail as well. But keep it short, do not focus more, because the more focus should be on the one which for which you are interviewing, right? That is development job. So keep focus on that, but add, basically speak in a way so that it can create a perception for the person, saying that, okay, this is something also a value add Utva has done. And that's totally depend on that person, if that person is going to ask the question related to that or not. But your job is to explain it in a way so that it can add value. That's it.
So basically, in other words, to add that as your employment history, but then keep it short to the limit where if they ask you, then and answer those questions. Other than that, be heavy about your project. I mean, the projects that you build and the skills that you learn in the development side.
Yeah,
Correct.
some, because see, the behavior of person is not similar. So basically, in one interview one person can be ready to hear about it also, and another interview, another interviewer can say, okay, I'm not interested for those transferable skills. Maybe you have done it, but I'm not interested. What I am interested is basically, if you, for example, hiring for Node.js, I'm interested in Node.js. You, do you know that Node? Do you know Node.js? Do you have done the project in Node.js? Okay, that's fine. If you have done it, then I will go ahead. So I, because behavior is something which is not similar, right? Some people can have different behavior, some people can have different behavior, so it's totally depend on them. But as a interviewee, as a candidate, you should add your value adds, and let's see what how they react. If they do not react, that's okay. If they react also, then you already have an answer. So yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I appreciate it. I mean, you gave a solid answer. That's the answer that I really was looking for. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
I quickly want to welcome Anurag. Um, we met yesterday in one of the space, and right he went. No, he is here. um, we we met. I think day before yesterday in a space. It was all about Bitcoin, but I joined for one reason because it says let's talk in Hindi, and I want to talk in Hindi, and Pratyush was co-host. So I'm so welcome, welcome Anurag to this space, and then Nada. This is one of my best day when Nada has joined my space. He and I know each other for almost a year now, maybe around that time, or 8-10 months. We have attended so many spaces together. Thank you so much, Neda, for joining this space. This means a lot to me. And I'm quickly checking everyone else. We're talking about interview strategies. We covered a lot of pieces today, from job application to interview process to preparing for interview, for technical, behavioral, side of questions, and then we start talking about the storytelling method. We talk about star method, some other storytelling method, and then we was talking about 30-second pitches, and then we are getting deeper and deeper into the question that Udba asked about the resume. So we'll continue that conversation. This is an open space. Anybody can request mic. With that, back to I see Tamal and Nikita has their hands up, so I will go with Tamal first and then Nikita.
Yeah. So, as previously said about the resumes, things and stuff. So, I would like to add a little bit about the structure of the resume from what I have been doing. And for me, it has worked. So, maybe it might not work for someone else, but it's always better to at least listen and stuff. So, yeah, as said previously, like people actually don't care about huge and large resumes. So, the shorter it is, the better it's gonna be for, reading through it or going through it purposes. So what I generally do is I structure my resume in different ways for different type of approaches that I might be doing. Like if I have 3 or 4 projects, if I have 6 to 10 projects at least, then I might put my best projects on top of it. Else, what I generally do in most of the cases, whenever I'm approaching startups with my resume, as a web developer, as a backend developer, sometimes as a front-end developer. So what I generally do is I put out my work experience at the very top, suggesting that, hey, I have worked with these tech stacks, the same tech stacks that you are working on your product. I have already worked on these tech stacks in a XYZ startup or XYZ company previously. I would have like roughly 1 or 2 work experience, and below that maybe I will put my one of my open source projects that's out there. It's growing pretty active these days, so I would generally put out that to say that hey, I am also active in these kind of things, and under that I would just mention my skills and stuff. And generally, a lot of people would also put on their educational details that they have completed XYZ course or they have graduated from this college or that college, but to be honest, my university wasn't that good, so it's not worth mentioning. So I just generally skip out that part until and unless I am applying to some MNCs or some huge companies where that really matters, or that's a must-have thing, kind of. But other than that, I generally skip that out because whenever you are filling up the form or something, they can always check your LinkedIn profiles and stuff. So generally, I put out all those kind of things, my work experience at the top, then my projects. But if someone has like very less amount of projects, I would suggest put up your community works, put up your skills, and just put up things that you can actually be proud of or super proud of, that hey, these are some of my flagship things, these are some of my unique qualities, and if anyone sees these in my resume, it's gonna be like pretty good. They might like these, so that kind of thing. And it's always a good idea to keep 3 or 4 different resumes for different kind of roles. Like I personally have 3 different resumes for 3 different type of roles. And also, like as previously they were speaking about adding keywords about xyz stuff, like adding number values, that hey, my website handled xyz amount of traffic, I had this amount of daily visits from my student. So I generally do those kind of things too, maybe adding those in bold, maybe writing that hey, I lifted up the SEO of this kind of web application by like maybe 27 percentage, I helped them earn or raise a funding of about $20,000 or something like that. So generally adding numbers would also help your resume, because I'm not sure, maybe the HRs would look through it or maybe other people would look through it, but in a lot of cases those matters. And yeah, as you know, if you apply to huge companies or global multinational companies out there, maybe like Amazon, Google, Facebook, Meta, or something like that. So they are at a point where they don't need people based on the projects they do, until it is a huge product. Like if I make a project which is quite small or compact, based on say Monstack or based on Next.js and stuff, as a web developer, so they won't care that much about that kind of project, because they really focus on the core skills that you have. If they're hiring for a specific role, then it's the next thing. But if they're hiring generally for software engineers, they would focus a lot on the core skills. So writing a lot about your projects in details, or writing 3 projects or 2 projects, it won't make sense. I have seen people get into these amazing companies having just one small project, but having previous work experience at a good internship, and along with that amazing problem solving skills. So it depends on the type of place you are applying to, and just maybe tailor your resume according to that. Yeah,
But
so that's what it
one
is.
question that I have, Tamal, since you
Yeah, yeah.
mentioned the different, you say you have 3 different resume, right? And I heard this a lot in terms of like, so how do you structure it? Do you change the whole resume, or just to change the little bit of tech stack of, according to the company that you're applying for?
So if I have worked previously, like I have worked as a developer relations engineer, I have interned as a backend developer. So if someone is hiring for a backend specific role, I would put up that backend thing as in my work experience, that hey, I have worked in these kind of tech stacks. I have these kind of backend based projects. So I know what I am going into, and I am pretty confident that I will be able to work for you. Similarly, the keywords, as previously someone was saying, the keywords, those are very important too. Like I have different kind of keywords. Like if you have different kind of projects based on different kind of tech stacks, and if the company is hiring for those specific tech stacks, you can always swap out those kind of projects. So whenever I'm applying for the developer relations role, I put up a lot of my community work, a lot of my open source works and mentorship programs that I was a part of, that I was been mentor, judge and stuff. So I put a lot of those in there so that they can see that hey, this guy right here, they are making a huge impact on the community. So these kind of things you generally play around, and I guess it works for me.
Tamal, such a detailed ideas and detail actionable steps. Thank you so much for sharing all that. Man. So we'll go to Nikita. I was just reading your profile, Nikita. You have a lot of good thing. You also see a lot of focus around open source. So Just wanted to give you kudos before I hand over mic to you. You're doing great, man. With such a focus, intentionality on your profile. So good job there. Mic to you.
Hi, thank you. So yeah, I'm Nikita. Namaste, everybody, especially Arindam. We worked a lot together. He's an amazing person. I mean, Arindam Majumder. Sorry if I mispronounce your name. So one thing I wanted to say is that probably I like the idea of being focused on like one project instead of 20, but I would be careful with being focused on the project you worked at your work. Why? Because at your work, you often don't really own like the right of choice what you will work on. So it might be React, might be something else, might be some small project, and it might click with the other person or it might not. So what I suggest doing instead, well, it doesn't work for everybody, but if you have time, I suggest choosing like constantly developing using open source. So choose the hottest topic you like and which other people's like, and keep contributing in one or two projects. For example, I've just posted a post about this amazing space, and there I had the link to the NASA project, to the NASA one. And I know personally a very good developer from Australia who once came to an interview, and yes, he had a ton of other projects, but when they learned that he did open source for NASA, the whole meeting they were asking him about this open source for NASA and like what did he do and so on and so on. So they have this web control center or something like this. It's really cool actually. So my whole message is don't let other people to choose what you will talk about at the interview, because it might be that your past experience at work is the best thing to talk, or it might be that you can contribute openly to some cool open source project, a really famous one. Doesn't have to be huge. It just has to be what people need. And if that's something which interviewers need, then oh my god, you can rock. So yeah, but that requires planning in advance and like consideration. You need to know where you focus at, because a few years ago there were 250 million projects on GitHub. You cannot contribute to everything, so you need to be very careful. So you openly care for what the industry cares for, and you are known as an expert. So, for example, if I'm hiring in India, then I know that Arindam is a good person to hire because I know how much he does for the community. If I was hiring in Pakistan, then obviously Bilal Khan is an amazing person. He does so much for the community and so many projects. So yeah, that's my message. That's it.
Yeah, thanks, Nikita. Your point around, if I understand correctly, you're saying that don't let them pick what project you want to talk about in the interview. I believe that you're saying that you set the narrative for that conversation. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so it's actually even bigger than that. Don't let your company, however good, guide your career. So you need to understand where you're going to and which community needs it. And then, because open source allows you to start working in a company before you actually join them. So for example, if you want to do something like code pilot, if you're into refactoring and AI, you might start contributing in projects like Refact.ai, which is open source. So, and then obviously when you come to the interview, because you didn't allow your company, however good is the company, you didn't allow them to own your career, you owned it. So you owned your development, you owned your education, you owned your network building and content creation. And because I'm absolutely sure that if I go and when I go and start checking what Vinod does, I'll find a lot, like tons of stuff. And if Vinod was, sorry, Vinod, I'm using here as an example, right? But if you're just sitting like silently at some office desk and 9 to 5 and whatever, slightly longer in India, I guess. But anyway, so you would allow the company to like own your career. But this way, you develop without them owning your career. And sometimes it might be a very good decision. You might be even working on the open source from your own company. Like, for example, I do, right? Well, it's not exactly open source, it's AI. Cannot talk much about that, but I'm doing that. And yeah, so don't allow other people to own your goals and your path. And at interview or at work, doesn't matter.
Got it, got it, got it. And thank you for that clarification. Um, and this is my understanding. For 9 to 5, you're 9 to 5. The work that you do during your office hour is, yes, controlled by your company. Whatever they give you, you do that. There are methods where you can create some visibility and influence, getting into higher visibility project, higher good technology project. But ultimately, they paying you, you doing whatever work they need. But then beyond that, before your 9 to 5 start in the morning, which is what I do, or after the 9 to 5 is done, you have that time that you can use to do open source project, do whatever other passion project that you have, learn things, get certification, and then if this company does not align to your aspiration, then change it to another company, or whatever, right? That's how I take it, Nikita, that you're saying.
Yeah, you don't have to ignore your company. That's actually quite right, but you don't have to ignore them. You can even combine them with your open source approach.
Hmm.
For example, you are working at a Java consultancy, right? And a lot of Java is still 8 to 11, let's be honest. But you might be at the same time participating in what was this? Was it Payara? I don't remember. I can talk about it later. But you can be participating in the latest enterprise Java. And then you can come to your bosses or even to your team and say, look, I want to talk about the new features in the next Java we're going to onboard. Do you want to have a call with me? Or like even better, like I created a video on YouTube where I used the pain points of my company without telling it's my company, obviously, like I protected you, but I used the pain points as an ideas and I solved it like that. And because it's in your free time on your own machine, you don't have those security policies as harsh in some cases, right? You can try different versions of software. For example, your company goes with SonarCube, you can still try Sneak and check how it works for your issues and stuff like that. And then your company will at some point see, hopefully, that your contributions to open source actually affect them in a very good way. And guess who will be next going to a conference or for a promotion? Who will be the next, like, let's say they want to go to Java 18 or whatever. Who is the best person to go to? The person who already has spoken so much about that and did so many projects and so many videos. And this person actually, when creating those videos, he was caring about the pain points of the company. Like he wasn't obvious, but be careful, you cannot copy paste, right? So I don't want you to lose your job. Just be careful.
Awesome. That's perfect. That's perfect. I Udba is laughing, I think, for the sound, some sound that was there. um I would.
No, I was laughing about the copy pasting.
Oh. um I want to add a slight element to Nikita advice, where there is another aspect. Like Nikita shared with all detailed examples, all detailed actionable step that how not to let your company determine your career path. I'm going to add another angle to that. Okay, um, for whatever reason, we give so much power to our company and our managers around setting our aspiration. What that mean is, when you want to go to the next level from junior to senior developer, or becoming an architect or manager or team lead, whatever it is, right? You have certain things in your mind, and you're working in this company or with this manager for, let's say, 2 years or 4 years. This person knows your strength and weakness, and what happens in many cases, that you share your aspiration of becoming a manager or architect, and this person may show an excitement or may not show an excitement, and that impact a lot. Psychologically, it impact a lot. It has done that to me. And then second, the type of project you get highly depends on your manager and some of the other leaders within your department, and that affects a lot emotionally as well as from the aspiration perspective. We was in one of the space, Pratyush was there too, where we was talking about how uh, emotions the developer has when they outsource one of the project or hire a contractor or a vendor to do certain type of project or the project, right? So there are so much happens emotionally, and with whatever, whether it is our upbringing, whether it is a school system where teacher has a lot to say about us or reviewing us, right? There are many psychological things, but what happened when you see the response, negative response from your colleague, managers, or the company, you start thinking less of yourself. I want to tell in this group, the better way is to not to seek for praise from your manager, not to seek their criticism or feedback or approval, any kind of approval from them to decide and guide whether or not you can do something. There are really good managers, right? I'm not talking about each and every person that is out there, but there are not so good manager as well, who is not properly trained, who are probably not have the overall good intentions and all, right? You cannot rely on their feedback, their reactions, their input to decide what you can do in your career, what you can become in your career based on their reactions. And then, second, do not let yourself forget about this manager. Do not let yourself tell you what you can do or what you cannot do. Um, Meaning, what you think you can do and cannot do today can change. And the method that I have been using is looking at one quarter, that what can I do in this one quarter, and I forget about what happened in the next quarter or quarter after. Um, and then second is generally working on whatever project is in front of me, putting my energy there, and then things automatically change. There are multiple ways to feel confident. There are multiple ways to change your mindset. There are multiple ways to change the belief system. It happens slowly, but it does. So, anyway, I wanted to extend what Nikita said to the conversation between you and your managers, and then also to the conversation that happened between you and yourself. Go ahead, Nikita.
Yeah, well said, Vinod. And just want to say, I've recently read a very good article from some top HR, and I combine it with open source. So my idea is that you can getting an interview might be a very different experience. You might own it. So let's imagine you're just going to interview and it goes as it goes. Or instead, before the interview, or maybe even when you just submit your resume, you contact the CTO of a company or CEO, depending on the size of the company, right? And you tell them that, look, I've just applied the resume, like I really like your company and everything. And then tell them that, well, if it's obviously it will work for like open source company, right? So tell them that, oh, I've actually looked at your GitHub profile and I've noticed that you have quite some popular projects like this one and this one. And if you don't mind, I raised such and such pull requests or like even incidents or something. So when everybody else will be coming to them speaking about what they can do for the company, you'll be someone who came and actually did something for the company. And contacting, and this HR recommended, obviously they didn't mention open source, but they recommended like when you apply, contacting CTO or CEO, because not that many people do that, and it really stands out. So yeah, you can combine that, and I think that will work. That's how I got my last DevRel position. Well, it's not official yet, but basically what I did, I really like the idea. So I started creating content immediately. Like I submitted resume and then I started creating content. I didn't even contact them. And then like we just started speaking, and then I see that they actually took this position off the LinkedIn, and then I get a proposal. And that's a very niche, like really cool startup. So okay, cool. I take it.
Nice. Congratulations, Nikita.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
These DevRel position did not exist like 2 years ago, and now they are. And I still have to figure out what this mean. But I know one of my friend, Graham, is looking for one of those position, I believe in UK. So um, yeah, these are
Yeah.
rewarding.
Is he in UK right now?
Yeah, he is.
Okay, then can you drop me a message with his name? Maybe I can help
Oh,
somehow.
definitely yes, for sure. Are you in UK too, Nikita?
Yeah, between London and Oxford.
Oh
Yeah.
my God, yes. Then I will definitely connect you guys. Good that I asked. Yeah, awesome. Cool. All right. If anyone has joined recently, we are talking about interview strategy. We have covered a lot of ground. Yeah, Pratyush, tell Graham if he can join. Okay, so we covered a lot of ground. It's almost 4 o'clock. We try to close around 5. So I let's see if we can finish by 4:30 maybe. So maybe we can close by 4:30. If not, then 5. So there's one other item. Well, we was talking about preparing the 30-minute pitch. I will cover one additional piece to that. The way I do these 30-second pitches, try to bring the key elements, the key points that you can say to grab the attention, and then in the anticipation that the listener will say, tell me more about this. I had this one situation long time ago. I joined my second company in April. It was around .com bust, 2001. So I joined this company. It was in Delhi, and I moved from my hometown to Delhi. And in July, they had a layoff. And my conversation was in sometime in June. I was there for 2 months, and then I was walking. It was a hallway conversation. One of the director, he spotted me, and then he just asked me very casually, "Hey, you new here? You recently joined, right? I did not see you before. What are you doing? I mean, what you working on?" So that was his question, and I said, yeah, I joined in April, and I'm working on this project that open an Excel file, fetch the data from Microsoft SQL, and fill into this Excel file using Excel VBA. There was some kind of code at that point, Visual Basic for application. So I use that, open an Excel, and I fill this data, and it looks so fascinating that Excel is automatically filling all the cells and color coding it. And this person, so it was less than 30 seconds. And this person was looking at me, can you show me this? This sounds so interesting. Can you show me this? And I said, yeah, sure. So at this point, or maybe he said, tell me more. And then I said more. And then he probably said, I forgot exact sequence, but then he said, show me. I brought him to my computer, and then I close all application. I know that I grabbed his attention. He's fixed. So I took my sweet time of a minute or something to close applications, and then running my application. So when I run this application, it opened an Excel file, and then on the screen you can see that the cell number one header row was filled, then second, then third, and it automatically changed the color and everything. And I was so fascinatingly happy that I get to show off my technical skills. I was so proud of this, unaware that what's happening in 2 weeks, right? uh, so I was happy, and this person told me that this is great. This is something that we was looking for. Do you have a few minutes? I want to introduce you to another manager. And then we went there. He introduced to me a manager and said, Vinod has done something that you was looking for. Check his program and see if it is something that you want work for you. So this person, the project manager of the third largest project in this company, the most visible, they call it Net Collaborator. They were building a project management software, and they had this need to prepare report in Excel. So it was like Excel export, so that people can manage their project, and then when needed, they can dump the data in Excel file. And my project was exactly what they're looking for. By next day, I was in this project, moved to this third visible, most visible project in this company. 2 weeks later, they announced the layoff, and my previous team was gone. Sad about that, but very happy that I was in this new city. Only 3 months, I moved all my stuff and everything, right? And I was able to save myself because of this 30-second pitch that I gave to them. Thank you. So that's why it's so critical, so important, um, to to be able to say your most crucial point in as minimum word that you could do to grab the attention. In writing, they call it hook, or headline, or sub headline, right? It works many places. So how do you prepare them? First, for who you are. I use that all the time in my any meeting that I attend, and these meetings that I was talking about, that now I'm conducting a lot of high visibility meetings with the leaders in other Chicago market, for example. And whenever you have this kind of meeting, there is an introduction section, and I deliver my 30-second pitch in these meetings. Similarly, there are hallway conversation if you are working in office. Then water cooler conversation. So those are the moment where you can say about you, the work that you do, in less than 30 seconds. And then most of the time people will ask you one of the thing, either the project or some of your interests, and say, tell me more about it. Now, there are there is a book called 3 Minute Rule, I think. Very good book. You can use that, as well as there are other. But when we are translating this to interview, your 30-second pitch could be about the very first thing that you talk about. Whenever you go in interview, they always tell you, tell us something about you. And then in your interview, there are other opportunities where you can again deliver a very quick high level summary, and then go deeper about the topic. I have seen many people, if I ask them, tell me about yourself. And they take 3 minutes, sometimes 5 minutes, sometimes 10 minutes to keep talking. Um, um, or even the other question that I'm asking, then they take a longer time to answer those questions. What happened in those cases? Number one, you lost me, or if we're talking about any interviewer, you lost them. They're probably not able to listen to everything because they got disconnected. And then second, you're reducing the amount of time you have where they could ask you the questions where you can deliver more value. So in the interview, we talk about creating your dumping all the thing that you have done, your raw material, then converting that into a story, and then trying to create a 30-second pitch for all those answers, all those projects, all those challenging situation, and then making the interviewer ask you, tell me more about this, and then you going deeper and deeper, so making it more conversational. So that I would add that, um, and that has worked really well for me in many situations, and then it will work for you as well in the interview situation. So I will take a pause. Does anybody want to contribute? Oh, Graham is here. All right, all right, all right. So I will conclude this conversation about the 30-second pitch. We will come back to this if anyone have any additional comment. The reason I requested Graham to join us because we have somebody, Nikita here. He was sharing. He dropped a lot of value bomb, and then in last he said that it's not official yet, but he's joining a company as a DevRel, and I shared that I have a friend in UK who is also looking for a DevRel position, and Nikita said he's also in UK, and then if I can connect with this person, then he can have a conversation. So that's when I used your name, and now you're connected. So I wanted to give you space to. That's what happening, Graham.
Yeah, so let's connect on LinkedIn, Graham. I have the same name. I cannot do magic, and actually, you're a legendary person, so I'm not sure I can help. But some of the things is, for example, sorry, I'm autistic, so my brain is a bit weird. So, example, there's a DevRelCon London coming on soon. We might need some more volunteers. I'm a volunteer there. So I don't know, you might be the chief speaker there, to be honest, with your reputation. And also, we are also always looking for more speakers at Open UK and more speakers at and new talks at Open UK and new talks at Finos. So the amazing stuff, especially if you mention AI, and especially if you write a post later for a community. So yeah, and yeah, so and obviously you know the DevRel Careers website, which mentions some careers, but LinkedIn is different and Google Job Search is different. Yeah. But man, you're a legend.
Yes, so first of all, an unusual way to get someone to a space. I was getting DMs, I was getting tagged. So thank you for all of that. I was sat there chilling out on a Sunday afternoon and my phone blew up. So thank you, everyone. DevRel Con, if you're looking for a volunteer, DM me on here. I will connect with you on LinkedIn, but DM me on here because I'm already down in London for CEVO Navigate. So maybe I can stay on a couple of days to do DevRelCon because that's straight after.
I'm a speaker at CEVO Navigate, but DevRelCon is the next after the same week. I took a vacation to do them both.
Yeah, so yeah, definitely let's take it to DMs rather than taking everyone's time up in a space. I'll connect with you on LinkedIn tomorrow probably because I won't be jumping up on there today. And yeah, no, thank you. Any help is always appreciated. Although it will be interesting because tomorrow I'm about to announce something a little different on the job hunt front. So, interesting, but I'm not saying anything yet. But thank you everyone for the kind thoughts, and Nikita, obviously we'll catch up on LinkedIn and see what happens. And congratulations if I understood correctly, because I was playing catch up. If you've just got a new role in DevRel, if I've understood that correctly, congratulations. And if I haven't, then my apologies.
Yeah, it's my second job. I'm not quitting my main job. I love it, but people start paying me for the stuff I do for open source in my free time. Okay, cool. Give me two.
Nikita, you're definitely a very humble person. You're doing two jobs. You're a speaker in these conferences, and you're very humble. So it's great to meet with you. All right. All right, so we have spoken about most of the point today. The last one that I wanted to cover about your worth and salary negotiation, and I was hoping that's a topic that someone else in this group can maybe more educated than I was. I am, and I see the Raviji has left. So I don't consider myself any expert in this. I was not good at salary negotiation. So if anyone else want to contribute, that would be great. If not, then I can start with what I know, what I have done. Um, okay, so I will start, and then if anybody who want to contribute. So as I said before, I always treated money as my a side a outcome of the actions and different strategy that I'm making. I never put money as my first thing that I'm going after. It is definitely a measure of where I am, along with other things, right? Money, salary is something that you can measure versus how skillful or how good your job is. Kind of, it's not measurable. So I was using my title, my my salary, and a couple of other things as the measure, but I never went after the money. So that's number one disclaimer. Number two is um, I use the market and whoever I know to kind of analyze what I'm worth at. Meaning my friend circles, the people I know who I work with. Many people doesn't share their salary, but some do. So I have used those kind of measures to especially in the beginning of my career, to see where I should be, and I use that in my negotiation. Um, then, well, when you're submitting a job application, right, at that time many job application ask for your salary expectation, and that's one of the moment where you could go right or wrong, because one, you don't want to put too high, and then you don't want to put too low, because once you ask, that's what they may offer you if it is lower. So that has been a very tricky situation for me, and it was harder for me to decide. Um, so that's there. Um, but what I know, that I have to put a number which is reasonable to me, not low for me and not too high for the company that I'm uh, company or the job that I'm applying for. So I have to find ways to analyze that. Nowadays, there are actually a lot of services there that can tell you what this company is offering, what their range and all are. And then if you're working with a recruiter, they can give you a really good estimate as well. So there are a couple of strategy to number one, understand what this job worth, and then number two is to then decide and put that there. Um, one quick second. I missed the point. So using some of the services, and then okay. The second part of this is the negotiation part, which is typically go by salary, right? Salary, but salary is just one number. Um, oh, I remember now. When I in US, when I came from a India-based consultation company, and to United States, and I worked for with them for a year, and then switched to a US based company. There was a big, huge difference between what I was getting before and what I asked for from this company. So I was getting like $36,000 a year, and then it was long ago, like 18 years ago. Okay, and then I asked for $71,000 here. And the first question that my hiring manager asked me that it's a big difference. Why you think? I mean, they were kind of challenging me that it's not justifiable. Double the salary, you and all that. But I was able to justify all that. That um, being an Indian consultation company, they don't pay that high. And then I use whatever XYZ two things to estimate exactly what the number, why I am asking for 71,000. And that was based on some of the criteria, some of the feedback that I've collected from the sources, and they actually paid me the amount that I was asking, obviously after negotiation, because I was able to kind of justify one, my interview was very good, and number two, I was able to justify that additional thing, sorry, the research that I had done. And the second part was another example is another part that I wanted to talk about, share that in the salary negotiation, salary is just one number. There are additional things that you can negotiate for. It could be the benefits that include your medical benefit, but most of the time medical benefits are standard. I have seen people negotiate for the additional PDO and vacations, and bonuses. So those are additional things that you could negotiate, which is not directly transferred into a salary, into a money number, but into additional vacation. Um, so what you try to find out is what are the additional things that this company can offer, or generally can company offer. There are one additional thing that comes to my mind is about asking for additional education fund or training fund, which most companies has, and then they can add to your package. And then the third one is moving allowances, joining bonus or moving allowances, because if you're moving from one city to another city, many company covers that. So all those elements uh, can also be included when you're doing the salary negotiation. Um, so I think Graham has his hands up, so I will go to Graham.
Yeah, so all of those things may be true, but there's one part at the beginning of all of that, which is the number. Like, where's the starting ground? Now, you said an excellent technique, which is research what you're worth. But so I want to caveat this before I say anything. Bear in mind that I have only ever been employed once in my life. I ran my own business 15 years. So the negotiation I did was business to business negotiation, not for a job. But there are two things that I think always ring true and I think can transfer over, and they go against what a lot of people say. The first one is say the number first, don't wait for them. You hear people all the time saying, no, wait for them to give you an offer and negotiate from there. There's something called anchoring, which happens, which is if they come in, say your number's 100,000 whatever currency, Your number's 100,000. If you let them speak first, you're hoping that they're going to come in and say 120. Like, that's what everyone hopes. But the thing is, if you've done your research, you know what you're worth. You know what the market's worth. So betting on someone else saying a number higher than you're expecting is a bit of a fool's errand. And it might happen occasionally. You might hear the occasional success story. Not likely, though, really. What's likely to happen is you've got a number of 100 in your head, and someone's going to come in and say 70 for the role. Now, the problem is negotiation up from 70 to 100 is really difficult. Whereas if you speak first and you say 110, they might go up and go, shit, our budget was only 70. But you've put the ballpark number, you've put the number where you want to be at on the table first. And it's them negotiating up to you at that point. And as long as you've got the backup to prove that you are worth what you're saying you're worth, you will get pretty close to the number you've thrown out there. Now, as I said, bear in mind that is business to business networking, but I also did an awful lot of that, so also bear that in mind. The second thing is this always rings true. You can only negotiate if you're willing to walk away. And a lot of people forget that. You have to be in the position to be able to say no point blank or stick to a number. And if you're desperate for work, you're probably not going to be doing that. So, I know circumstances. I'm currently in it myself. I need to get work in the next few weeks or I'm in trouble. But you need to put yourself in a position where you can walk away, because you will negotiate better and stronger, knowing that if someone lowballs you, and there's no way you're going to get them to your number, you're not going to then fold and go, well, okay, I'll take 85 even though I'm worth 100. Like, you have to be able to walk away from a deal so that you can hold your guns at a number that you think you are worth. And I'm not talking like, if your number's 100 in your head and they get to 95, like, shake the damn hand, but don't let yourself take a low ball offer. Even if you're in desperate straits, find a temporary role in the meantime while you're in that situation, or find some freelancing work or whatever it may be to tide you over so that you can get the job at the money you deserve. So yet again, I want to caveat it one last time because it's really important people understand where I'm coming from. This is business to business negotiating that I've tended to do all my life, not negotiating for salaries. I believe that the two rules would still apply exactly the same, but bear that in mind, please. I don't normally caveat the things I say so heavily, but I don't want anyone going, well, Graham said to do this, and you missing out on a role you should have otherwise won.
Now, Graham, these are great points, because I 100% agree that there are two situations that I have faced. Number one, that a candidate did not given give a number, and then I did, and then they come back and said this is too low. But you had all the time um, to tell me the number, and then now you're telling me my number are low, right? So I faced that situation. And then second situation is somebody have I hired somebody 3 years ago. Then I'm just going to use some random number here. So she asked me for 80, and then everything went well. I went back and look at the application and the number that she asked, and I worked with the internal department, and I offer that number. And then at that time she said, I want 85. I'm just using the number, right? And that was a difficult situation, because you gave me the number and now you're changing the number, and it doesn't work that way. So that situation, it completely delayed for 2 months. Uh, But yeah, that's a difficult situation for me. And then I still was able to hire her later, but it would have been a better situation if, one, she asked me 85 in the beginning, or um, or stick to 80. Yeah, Graham, go ahead.
Yes, so the converse is true because that person acted in bad faith in my eyes at that point. Look, the reason I said if you're going for 100, go 110 is everyone always wants to negotiate. And the people who don't negotiate, hey, you'll get the 110 you asked for or you won't get the job. But do not ever, if you are going to speak first and you've got the confidence that you've got your numbers right and you know what you're worth, and like I said, it's a stronger position to negotiate from, so I would recommend it personally. Don't then try and up it and get extras. Like, ask for what you want, and then if you get offered what you want or pretty damn close, be happy, and don't. There's so where I think this all boils from is people are worried that they don't know what they're worth. If you can't find out what a role would pay, which, trust me, there's very few roles where you're not going to be able to do some research and find out, okay, I'm living in Spain, I'm applying to a job in America. Generally, I will get paid 25% less than the American rate, 30% less. You can get a number. Let's assume you can't do that. The reason people feel like they should let someone else speak first is because they're like, well, what if I undervalued myself? So if that's your concern, look in a mirror and say, I want 50,000, whatever currency it is. And then if that feels okay, go to 60, go to 70, go to 80. When it starts to feel uncomfortable, go another step higher. And that's probably where you should be pitching yourself. Because most people undervalue themselves quite dramatically. So you need to get to a point where you're saying a number that almost sounds ridiculous to you, because that's probably what you're worth. It's just that most people are like, oh, I don't know. What if I say 60 and they've only got 40 budget? Like, don't worry about that. If they like you and they want you, they will work with you to try and make it happen. And obviously, if you're out their budget range, I told you have to be able to walk away. Most of the time, companies will find the extra bit of money to hire you, unless they're like Google or Netflix, and they already have salary ranges shown on their site, so you don't have to do any guesswork anyway at that point. But for most smaller companies, the kind of companies most of you will be working for, yeah, they can make the budget adjust and stretch if they believe you're the perfect candidate. So make yourself super hireable and then go in with a very strong number that you think is just on the high end of what you feel comfortable with, even a little uncomfortable with it. Negotiate from there. You can't go much wrong. Oh, and last thing I will say is this. Yes, extra perks are a wonderful thing to negotiate with. Equity is, yet again, can be very lucrative and is something that's very often used in tech. But equity is glorified gambling. Bear that in mind. So unless you've got a really good background on the company, don't go and do too much of your salary in exchange for equity. It can work out really well for you. It can also work out really badly. So make sure that the salary itself, you're comfortable, you're happy, whether that equity pays off or not. With that being said, a friend of mine works at NVIDIA, and as you can imagine, she has made an absolute fortune in the last few months. So, like I said, equity can be a very nice bonus, but it's put her on a salary that's ridiculous. So I'm not saying don't do it. I'm just saying make sure that your base salary is good, because the company could go bust in 6 months. You have no idea, unless it's NVIDIA. I'm going to keep just caveating everything I say.
This equity thing, especially the startup who gives it. And I recently learned, I think, Graham, maybe you have shared or somebody else shared in the space. And then my wife was working for a startup where they have a couple of people, one developer as well as one of the person in the leadership role. They were given a lot of equity, but it means nothing, because unless this company is listed somewhere, you cannot encash it. It's nothing. And that's exactly what happened. They faced the financial challenge. They let go my wife. She found another job, but they let go my wife, and then let these people, some of the people with equity, they still worked for some time and then they left. But then what happened is the 2 years of work that they have given, uh, with a smaller salary and bigger stock option, did not mean anything to them anymore because it's all gone. So when you have the equity, especially in the startup, you have to understand that you cannot convert that into a number, a money, uh, the dollars or whatever the money is. You cannot convert until it is listed somewhere. So that's, as Graham said, it's sound lucrative, but in many cases doesn't mean much. I would add one more thing here is the salary negotiation is also crucial because once you are in the company, there is very less chances and it is challenging for you to get a promotion, especially salary increase, unless you're really low and then they're doing some kind of market adjustment. But uh, what I have found that once you are in the company, it's very hard to get the salary increase, a bigger salary increase. And I've seen that as an employee and I've seen that as a manager. So for me to give a raise, a higher raise to one of my team member, it is not easy because I need to get approval from my director, VP, and in some cases my CIO. And it goes through a very formal process where I have to justify why, 10 whys, to be able to do that. The main reason is you have multiple people at that time, and as a manager, you cannot increase the salary for everybody, and then you have other budgetary consideration that you have to think about, you have to maintain. So anyway, the summary is it's hard to get the salary increase, and that's why in my the experience that I was talking about, even though it was double the salary that I was asking and they were challenging me, I would not budge because I knew once I joined the company, it it's it's not going to be that much. So anyway, I wanted to add that point to show the importance that the best time to negotiate is when you're joining the company. All right, so with that, I think we have covered all different things that I had in my mind, and it was great discussion overall. I want to ask, open the floor if there is any comment or questions or topic that anybody want to discuss. Otherwise, we will start wrapping. So yes, Anurag, go ahead. Your voice is breaking, Anurag. It's breaking really bad. Are you are you using a headphone or something? No, I cannot hear. So sorry. Do you want to type it? So sorry, Anurag.
I just wanted to say that there's a lot of great knowledge that was dropped by all the speakers, and thank you, thank you. This has been a great space.
Thank you, Nicholas. Thank you for saying that. Anurag, you're back. Try again.
Hey, Vinod, can you hear me now?
Yes, perfect.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah, thanks. Sorry about that. Yeah, I just wanted to add on Graham's points. I think he made really good points around like the base salary being really important. I think I've observed this in India, but I'm assuming this pattern exists everywhere, especially with the startup boom. If you don't understand equity or employee stock options well enough, and if you're just starting with your career, especially in the first couple of years, I don't think it's absolutely necessary to be taking that bet. unless you are someone who's been following the company for a while and believes in their vision. So that's something I would say. As far as negotiations are concerned, one of the things that I've observed, and the mistake I made myself often, is um, setting a lower number. And so, what Graham mentioned about anchoring and setting the price upfront, I think that is very, very important. The reason being, um, apart from just the number itself, I would also add that when you are going through a role, and let's say there's a company called X, there is a company X, but let's say there's a company called X, and I'm looking to apply there, and there's an application. I'd spend half an hour going through the application, truly understanding what they need, and trying to just write down within 2 or 3 lines what they need from the role and why I am the right person for it, right? If during negotiations, I think what keeps it short and really smooth is if you can encapsulate exactly what they want and convince them why you should be the right person to do it. What often happens is a ton of back and forth, and that leads to basically a longer and more arduous negotiation. And so it's easier if you know the number up front, and it's easier if you know the role up front. And if you can communicate both of those things, I think it ends pretty quickly. In terms of saying yes or no, like Graham mentioned, I think a lot of times people don't have a choice. But if you do, I would say pick a company where you are comfortable going at that particular number. If you are taking a long-term view on things, then an 80 or 85 kind of a difference doesn't really make a difference. Whereas if there's a company that's really trying to hire you, but you don't believe in their vision, they could offer you 70-80% hike, but it still wouldn't be worth it, and you'd probably end up in a worse position than you are right now. So understanding where you are going and what the role is really, really helps. And yeah, I think setting the number up front, definitely. Yeah, that's it. Thanks.
Thanks, Anurag. These are all great points. Thank you. And I want to welcome somebody who is in just joined. Mike, um, today we talk about this topic, and you are one of the person that I know that who are extremely educated about this topic. So much skills. I listened to you yesterday, day before yesterday. I asked for a friend advice, and and then that is space. So Mike is not at the speaker stage, but if anybody want more information about the topic that we discussed today, Mike is one of the person in Twitter who have a lot of knowledge. He give a lot of free advice. He has a Facebook group, and then he also do a paid help as well. So thank you so much, Mike, for joining. We are about to wrap up the space. We started like 1 o'clock. We covered, and I will start wrapping up with giving a quick summary that we started. This space was talking about the job application, uh, what to include, what not to include in that, and then different stages of the interview process, how to prepare for interview. We covered technical interviews, behavioral interviews, how to prepare them. We talk about uh, different tools, friends, family, paid markup, as well as chat GPT based prompts that you could use to prepare for this interview. Then we talk about using storytelling methods to dump everything that you have done, and then creating different stories around that you can take to the interview, and not only the technical thing but all the non-technical things plus emotions. We talk about a star mechanism, and we talk about 30-second pitches, and then the last part was your work and salary negotiation. So we covered a lot of items. I hope that everybody got so much value from this. I want to request everyone who is on this stage, on this space, to give a follow to Pratyush. He has been an amazing co-host. So thank you so much, Pratyush, for being here and sharing your wisdom. So give a follow to Pratyush. Graham, always, 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 he has been supporting me big time. This is my fourth space, and Graham has attended all of them. So thank you so much, Graham. Follow Graham. Nicholas, thank you so much for joining. You shared a lot of wisdom. Tamal has dropped, but he has shared a lot. So give a follow to Nicholas and Tamal and Anurag. Thank you so much for you came to the page later, but great insight, great input, and there were so many other people on the stage. So please give all of them a follow, and then everybody who is in this space, look at your right, look at your side, look at it above, and I don't know how to say below, but but connect with each other, share your love, share your knowledge in one-on-one setting. The connection that you will build through that process will ultimately help you gain knowledge, and hopefully in your next job interview, next job opportunity. Ultimately, all of us, we just need one job to begin our career, and then once you have 2 years of experience, 1 to 2 or 3 years of experience, you just need one second job to get a better role, better project, better visibility, and better salary. So um, with that, I will hand over mic to Pratyush and other people on the stage for their final comments. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining. Pratyush.
Yeah, once again, this was really amazing. Thanks a lot, Vinod, for hosting this amazing one again, once again. And shout out to all the speakers and the fellow listeners who listen to the whole space from start to end. There are lots of knowledge sharing. And some of the speakers who actually just left. Thanks a lot for sharing your knowledge with us. Thank you.
All right, Graham, Nicholas.
Um, you know what? I'm just going to thank everyone for coming. I have nothing extra to add to this conversation other than get out there and smash it, everybody. So, thank you to all the people who've come to join us. Obviously, while you've got these last 30 seconds to a minute, click on some faces around your people. Go see what people in this space are interested in. Is it the same as you? If it is, let's hit that follow button on a few people, make some connections, leave here with some friends. And other than that, I hope you've all had a fantastic weekend and you're all hyped and psyched up for the work week ahead. Because if you're not excited about the work week ahead, then that means you need to change your job anyway. And that's what these spaces are for. Thank you very much, as always, for hosting, Vinod. And thank you, Pratush, for co hosting. Back to you.
All right, Nicholas and Anurag, do you have anything to share?
No, just thank you and let's get it, guys.
All right. All right. I just posted the link to the next week. We will be talking about your first 30 days, 90 days. Once you get the job, what all you can do to create a very good foundation for yourself. So please set your reminder for the next week. With that, thank you everyone for joining. Bye for now.